College of Staten Island, CSI Sportsnet, presents exclusive NCAA Division III women's basketball coverage. Today's matchup features the Cyclones of Centenary College taking on the Dolphins of the College of Staten Island. Good afternoon, everybody. This is Joe Foreman, joined by Mike Babuski, bringing you all of the action live from center court during today's game. And Mike, the Dolphins enter today's game playing very well. Winners of 5 of their last 6 games, or their last game played back on December 21st was a defeat at the hands of Wagner College. Some tough competition in that one. Of course, Wagner, a Division I team, but the Dolphins do come in playing extremely well, entering today's action with a record of 8-3.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it, Joe. The team has been playing very well. They had a tough game up at Wagner. They fell behind in that game immediately by a pretty big deficit and really was struggling to work their way back in, but it really didn't take anything away from the real good start this team has had this year. And, you know, they're going to play this final non-conference regular season game, Joe, and then it's right into conference play beginning January 3rd, and every remaining game for both the men's and women's basketball team will now be conference games.
A lot of exciting conference basketball upcoming in the month of January. We'll be back on the air with you a couple of times in the next week. Doubleheaders against York and Hunter slated for January 3rd and 5th respectively. But taking a quick look back at what the Dolphins have done since the last time we were on the air, I mentioned the Dolphins are winners of 5 of their last 6 games overall, but only 4 of those games have occurred since our last broadcast. Our last time on the air for women's basketball was back on December 4th. A 25-point victory for the women over the Bloodhounds of John Jay College. Since then, a big 33-point win over Medgar Evers, a 27-point win over New Rochelle, a 19-point win over Lancaster Bible, and then the game against Wagner that I mentioned. But taking a look at those games, the Dolphins playing very well defensively, allowing 34 points, 53 points, and 40 points in those 3 victories over Medgar Evers, New Rochelle, and Lancaster Bible. That's something we've said about this team many times this season, strong defensive efforts, but Mike, they've done a lot more well on top of that.
Yeah, you know, they've played very well. You know, they didn't play the highest level of competition other than the Wagner game, you know, in their last few non-conference games, but you know they'll have an interesting contest against Centenary today, a team that's struggling a little bit, and we'll talk about that in a little while. But you know, again, the team looking very well, playing very well. I think they were actually a little bit ahead of where we thought they might be at this time. So, you know, a lot of excitement surrounding this women's basketball team. They're getting a lot of good play out of a lot of different places, and you know, a lot to be excited about as we get ready to start the conference schedule.
Well, a great deal of roster turnover from last year. They lost a lot of scoring from last year's team, but despite that, the team's still averaging 64.5 points this year, while only allowing an average of about 54 points per game. And really, I'm taking a look at some of their wins very quickly, and I've only seen them allow more than that 54 points in 1 victory so far this season. So they've done a great job defensively. Make that twice, the second being a John Jay Bloodhound game that they won, and the first was back earlier this season against William Patterson. So this team has played very well defensively, but turning our attention to the offensive end quickly, I mentioned the roster turnover and their need from scoring from other places this year, and they've certainly gotten that. Averaging 65 points a game, they've gotten contributions from several players on the offensive end. Megan McEwen stepping up in a big way, assuming the role as the starting point guard this year, leading the way with 15 points a game, and Diana Tadaro right behind her, just shy of 12 points per game, and primarily off the bench, Kayla Schmitter as well, contributing 9.7 points per game for the Dolphins. So despite the roster turnover and the loss of a great deal of scoring from last year, they found offense from players who didn't necessarily play as big of a role last year or who have assumed a bigger role entering this year. And of course, Kayla Schmitter, a new player who's entered the fold in 2018 as well. So the Dolphins have to be very happy with where they are given a new coach, roster turnover, and an 8-3 mark entering today's game has to be something they're very happy with.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it, Joe. And now they're going to go through a stretch where they're going to play like 10 basketball games in the next 30 days. And, you know, it's going to be interesting to see because, you know, like you mentioned, Joe, there's been a lot of fits and starts and breaks between games, and the holidays have come and gone, and, you know, we're getting ready for New Year's. And, you know, as soon as you step across New Year's, you immediately start to play a lot of games. Dolphins will play 4 games between January 3rd and January 9th. So the pace is really going to pick up. It's going to test the depth of this team a little bit more. And, again, all these games will be in the conferences. You get a look at the current conference standings up on your screen. And, you know, it should be very interesting to see. This is, as you mentioned, a new team with a lot of new players, a new head coach, and they've really performed well through this part of the season. It'll be interesting to see how the second half of the season goes as well.
And taking a look at those CUNYAC conference standings for the women, that matchup on January 5th against Hunter looming very large. Those two teams, the only 3 victory teams that remain unbeaten. Of course, Brooklyn also unbeaten within the CUNYAC conference, but they've only played a single conference game so far this season. So that matchup on January 5th between the Hawks and the Dolphins looks like it's going to be a big one. Only one game between now and then after today. That's against York on January 3rd. But a matchup with the Cyclones looming today, and we'll turn our attention over to Centenary College for just a moment, taking a look at some of their overall team stats and taking a look here at their scoring. The numbers are not good. Only 44.3 points per game, and they allow about 17.5 points more than that, allowing 61.7 to their opponents so far this season. They're shooting 35% from the field, which isn't a very bad mark. That's only about 2% off of the Dolphins' pace, and they allow shooting about 2% better than their own of about 37.6%. That's right around where the Dolphins are, as I just said. So the Dolphins certainly have an opportunity in this game to score the basketball against a team allowing over 60 points per game. Not shooting particularly well, especially from beyond the arc. The Cyclones shooting about 25% from three-point range, and they may need to be better than that in this one. Also from the free throw line, about 65%. And on the boards, they do have a distinct advantage of about 7.5 rebounds per game. The Dolphins did lack some size last year. They added some size this year, especially in the form of Kayla Schmitter, and they'll hope to get the job done on the boards in today's game against the Cyclones.
Yeah, you know, you mentioned, Joe, Centenary really struggles to score the basketball with just 44 points a game. They're 1-6 on the year. They did come off of a win against Byrne Athlon in their last contest. That was back on December 5th, Joe. So this is a team that has not played a basketball game in 25 days and struggled offensively to begin with. So, you know, it'll be interesting to see how they're able to come out of the gate with a layoff over 3 weeks, to come on the road a few days after Christmas, right before New Year's, and play against a Dolphin team that I expect to come out with an energized effort today, Joe, and, you know, a team that's been living off their defense and put a lot of pressure on this team. So, you know, a good chance for the Dolphins to get one final non-conference game in before the new year begins.
And we've seen the Dolphins play some very aggressive full-court pressing defense over the last 2 years, much more so last year, but at times we have seen it in 2018. And for a team that's had such a long layoff as the Cyclones have had, it's going to be tough for them to see that kind of full-court pressure and navigate that, but we'll see what they're able to do. Taking a look at their scoring output individually, it's Katie Alvarez leading the way with 13 points a game, and then a couple of players averaging between 7 and 8 points, but that's about it. So not much scoring on this Cyclones team, and we saw that in the overall team numbers with them averaging just over 44 a game. So the Dolphins certainly have an opportunity here to get back out on the court and pick up a victory in this one against a team that has struggled offensively. The layoff for the Dolphins only 9 days, as we mentioned before, their last game against Wagner back on December 21st. So the layoff for the Dolphins a much shorter one than that for the Cyclones, and we'll see how the long layoff affects Centenary in this one and if they come out a little bit cold.
Yeah, and, you know, again, you know, for the Dolphins, you know, they're anxious to get back on the winning ways. We mentioned before that they had won 5 in a row before dropping that game against Wagner. And, you know, Joe, it was a real tough game against Wagner. I know it was a game that the ladies were excited about going to play, and it, you know, started out pretty disappointingly in that Wagner came out really hot and were able to hit a lot of their shots. The Dolphins fell down by a lot early and, you know, kind of took a little bit out of the excitement because this is a Wagner team that the ladies could have very easily beaten the last couple of years, but the game earlier this month got away from them pretty quickly. So, you know, the ladies are going to want to come out today and get back on the winning track.
They certainly will, and I remember that game against Wagner last year, one of our more exciting women's basketball broadcasts of the season. I believe the lead in the second half of that game for the women was about 7 or 8 points, and down the stretch, some missed free throws and some offensive rebounds they allowed really hurt them and ultimately did them in before they fell to the Seahawks in that game. A close one. I think the final was about a 2 or 3 point deficit for the Dolphins in that game, but a disappointing loss nonetheless. And taking a look at the game against Wagner this year, what really troubled the Dolphins was their shooting from the field, 21 of 60 overall, 6 of 21 from beyond the arc, and only 11 of 22 from the free throw line. And when you shoot the ball like that, it's going to be very difficult to win. On the rebounds, they're also out-rebounded by 11. So if this team shoots poorly and gets out-rebounded, they could have some issues. But taking a look at the numbers for Centenary entering entering the game. The rebounding could prove to be a problem for the Dolphins today. The shooting, I don't think, is something that they'll have much issue with. A team that does allow a lot of points per game and struggles to put points up on the scoreboard themselves.
Yeah, and, they're coming in and, you look on the offensive end and, they really only have a couple of players that, operate pretty efficiently offensively. Katie Alvarez, you mentioned, averaging 13 points a game, and she's doing that on 52% shooting from the field, which is very impressive. And then Jessica McKenzie is second on the team in scoring, averaging just under 8 a game, but she's shot pretty effectively from the floor as well. But as a team, Centenary is only shooting 35% from the field and 25% from the three-point line. So, those numbers, they're going to need to shoot a little bit better here tonight to stay with the Dolphins.
Yeah, only a couple of players efficiently shooting on the roster, as you mentioned. If you take a look at the Dolphins roster, much more efficiency there. Several players shooting above 38% is about the mark I'm looking at. Maybe 36 is more of a fair mark. They have about 4 or 5 players up above 36% shooting, and 36% shooting is out shooting the Cyclones as a team. So if the Dolphins can shoot the ball efficiently, as they have for the most part this season, they should put themselves in a good position. They need to rebound the basketball as well, but as I said, a team with such a long layoff as the Cyclones have had since their last game, facing an aggressive Dolphins defense that's played very well this year, they're going to have a tough test coming into the tank today, looking to pick up their second victory of the season. And we have about a minute and a half before the introduction of the starting lineups and the playing of the national anthem. So we'll step aside and take a break. When we come back, we will introduce those starting lineups for you, and the Dolphins will take on the Cyclones live from the tank exclusively on CSI Sportsnet.
I got a crick in my neck, limp in my step, cramping in my muscles every time I try to flex. Better than ones get on. It's very sad when all that I could do was remember you. You know I usually say no, but if you throw me love, I'll throw you some more.
Hi, I'm Peter, and there's nothing I love more than sharing vegetables with my friends.
Come on in! Help yourself to anything.
That's why we give our food the utmost respect it deserves. Did you know there are simple steps we can all take to help save food? You can cook it, store it, even share it. Just don't waste it. Because when it comes to food, better ache than never. To learn more, visit SaveTheFood.com.
I remember, Dad, you and Mom got this car with a hatchback. I said, I'd be happy to give you the money to get a really great car. And he said, well, no, this works for me. I says, why? Because it's the right height to put the meals in. Dad, tell me when you first got an inkling about Meals on Wheels.
There was kind of an abandoned house. That's where we got started with Meals on Wheels. We kind of filled a need for people as they got older.
It's the human interaction that probably fed them much more than the food.
Oh, yeah. When you can see somebody else benefiting by your life in some way, you can't help but feel good about it, I think.
Well, the reason I'm involved, Dad, is because you are, and you're so inspiring. How you've impacted people is enormous.
Drop off a warm meal and get more than you expect. Volunteer at americaletsdolunch.org.
America, let's do lunch.
Your dad is an adventure full of special moments.
A cruise?
Surprise!
Unexpected moments.
I got this.
And even awkward moments.
Okay, Dad, thank you.
But every moment you spend with your kids, even the smallest moments, can make the biggest impact on your child's life. So take a moment to be a dad today.
We are back from the tank. The starting lineups for both teams are being introduced on the floor, and my broadcast partner, Mike Babusky, has those starting lineups for you.
Thanks a lot, Joe. First for the visiting Centenary Cyclones, coming in with a record of 1-6 on the year. It'll be number 5, Katie Alvarez, their leading scorer. Number 11, Taylor Bossert. Number 15, Victoria Jacobs. Number 20, Danica Brandt. And number 44, Dana Witch. For the College of Staten Island, familiar starting 5 now as of late. Number 1, Megan McEwen. Number 5, Nicole and Bessie. Number 13, Diana Tadero. Number 24, Jacqueline Callie. And number 32, Rosa Perone. The Dolphins coached by first-year coach Nicole Sarcone.
Dolphins come in playing extremely well, as we spoke about before, Mike. The regular starting 5, as you said, and this starting 5 has been effective all season long. I believe they've only strayed away from the starting 5 during one home game this season. I think Kayla Schmitter did get a single start here at the tank earlier in 2018, but Nicole Sarcone likes her coming off the bench, and she's done a great job for the Dolphins off the bench this season, shooting 50% from the field. I mentioned her scoring earlier, 9.7 points per game. She's also hit 2 of her 4 3-pointers this year as well, and shot 75% from the free throw line while contributing 6 rebounds per game on top of that. So great work for Schmitter off of the bench, with this starting 5 that you just introduced has been very effective for the Dolphins this year.
Yeah, and you know one thing, looking over at that Centenary team, Joe, they're awful small. So it'll be interesting to see. You mentioned earlier that they've been out rebounding their opponents by about 7 a game, and it'll be interesting to see how they fare inside the paint against the Dolphins here this afternoon.
And the battle on the boards is one that the Cyclones simply need to win in this game, Mike, because we mentioned their trouble scoring this season. If they don't win the battle on the boards, it's going to be very tough to defeat a Dolphins team that is scoring at a much higher rate than them and slightly more efficiently than them. On top of it, the Dolphins, as I mentioned before, shooting around 37.5% this season, while the Cyclones are down around 35%. But the Cyclones need to win that battle on the glass in this game. And you mentioned the lack of size really across the board. Only one player listed above, or 2 players above 5'9" for the Cyclones, those being Carly Tarnowski and Jessica McKenzie for Centenary College. And for the Dolphins, a couple of players with some size, one of them being Kayla Schmitter, who will be coming off the bench. Tracy Simon, also 6'4", has gotten sporadic minutes. And, of course, Rosa Perone in the starting lineup, also listed at 6 feet tall.
Yeah, and, you know, Joe, before we get started, we should mention what an awesome weekend it was here at the tank for the Tournament of Heroes Championship. It was the 17th annual championship. Dolphins won it for the 3rd time, beating an extremely tough Tufts University team by a final of 98-94. Adiola Latunji winning the tournament MVP.
We'll talk a bit more about that when we have a break in the action as the Dolphins win the opening tip, and Jackie Callie has it first before swinging it back up top to Megan McEwen, the Dolphins' point guard. Callie dribbles it towards the top of the arc, throws it inside to Tadaro. She takes a couple of steps back, finds Rosa Perone for the open mid-range jump shot. That shot no good. Rebound to the Cyclones. Surveying the floor is Taylor Bossert. She decides to pull that deep 2-point jump shot. May have had feet behind the line, didn't catch the signal. That shot no good, as the entry pass is in toward Rosa Perone, knocked away by the Cyclones and out of bounds.
Yeah, the Dolphins have had the ball twice, Joe. Rosa Perone took the first shot, and on that second play, they were looking to get it inside the paint to Rosa, so clearly a plan to try to work the ball inside, use the Dolphins' size advantage.
Ball inside with Perone once again, and a nice feed to Diana Tadaro, cutting in from the left baseline.
Yeah, Cyclones tried to help from the weak side. Rosa saw it, able to get the ball in for the easy basket.
And the Dolphins quickly come away with an early steal off of the inbounds pass, and they'll try and throw it inside to Perone once again. They're looking to feature her early, and Perone goes up underneath and draws the foul.
Yeah, so another nice play by the Dolphins, first forcing the turnover, then getting the ball inside to Perone. She draws the foul, and she'll go to the free throw line to shoot 1. Foul on Alvarez, her first.
And Perone's first free throw, no good. We'll take a look quickly at the free throw shooting numbers for Rosa Perone. Try to pull that up behind our live stats application as I follow the action.
Sorry for not having that handy for you, Joe. 48% from the free throw line for Perone on the year.
She would certainly like to improve upon that. As you see Perone scoring up there on the screen. Perone does go to the line and miss both. So the Dolphins' lead remains 2. Bossert brings it across center court for the Cyclones and takes a look around as they set up their half-court offense. Ball with Jessica McKenzie at the top. Swings it over to Brant. Knocked away by Jackie Callie and out of bounds into the Dolphins' bench. Cyclones will inbound with 10 on the shot clock.
Yeah, Dolphins coming out and playing a pressing defense on the Cyclones, making it difficult for them to set up offensively.
10 on the shot clock for Centenary, but that's into the backcourt.
I don't know how that wasn't a backcourt violation. I thought she touched it first.
She certainly did, but not sure it's a backcourt violation off an inbounds pass. I'm not sure what that rule is early in the game. I know in the final 2 minutes you can throw it into the backcourt in certain situations, but I'm not fully brushed up on my NCAA rule book. So.
Well, you could throw it into the backcourt as long as you touch it in the backcourt. They touched it in the forecourt and then in the backcourt. Not sure what the rule is on that.
Well, you're talking to someone who didn't know you couldn't advance the ball on a timeout yesterday, Mike, so I'm not the go-to guy for those types of rulings, but both free throws by McKenzie are good, and the score is tied at 2 as Megan McEwen brings it across half court, gives it up to Nicole and Bessie, and gets it right back. Dolphins swing it around the perimeter and then inside to Rosa Perone. A good pass, but she couldn't handle it cleanly. And then Nicole and Bessie is called for the travel. Good ball movement there by the Dolphins. Had a nice look for Perone inside. The pass just a bit too high for the 6-foot Perone. And Bessie follows it up with a turnover. That turnover, the first of the game for the Dolphins. Here come the Cyclones across center court. That's Brandt in the corner working against McEwen. Gets the screen, but a nice rotation by Rosa Perone to cut off that dribbling lane. Ball now with Bossert. Looking for somewhere to go with it, and she is fouled by Rosa Perone.
Yeah, Rosa getting called for the reach-in. So for Rosa, that's going to be her first, the team's second. So the Cyclones will inbound the ball from the near sideline.
We've mentioned Perone being prone to early foul trouble on more than one occasion. Picks up an early foul in this one. About 2:20 into the first quarter. That's Jacobs with the ball, gives it up to Brandt, and that three-pointer is no good. I think that was Dana Witch charged with the over-the-back foul. Don't make that McKenzie. Jessica McKenzie picks up the foul. That's the team's second. McKenzie's first.
Yeah, both teams with 2 early fouls here. 2.5 minutes into the game, Joe. Just a basket apiece, so both teams looking to get on track offensively.
That's a three-point attempt by Jackie Callie, and that will be a jump ball. Perone and Brandt tied up underneath, and possession is to the Dolphins.
Yeah, so both teams' offensive struggles continue. Cyclones to inbound.
Dolphins once again exerting full court pressure. Cyclones navigate through that nicely. And that is certainly a travel by Jessica McKenzie. Didn't catch the ball cleanly and then stumbled with it. Did have a 2-on-1 underneath, did the Cyclones, but couldn't capitalize on it after McKenzie was unable to handle that pass. This is Callie taking it into the mid-range for the Dolphins. Swings it into the right corner for Mbesi. Back out to Megan McEwen. She'll attempt the three-pointer, and that rattles in.
So McEwen hits the first three-pointer of the game to give the Dolphins a 5-2 lead.
McEwen on the season, a 40% three-point shooter, so she's been solid for the Dolphins beyond the arc. Really more than solid, as that's an offensive foul called. Foul charge to Danica Brandt.
So that'll be the third turnover here early in the game for the Cyclones. And, you know, you mentioned, Joe, they struggle a little bit from the field. They need to protect the basketball to get shots at the basket.
I just took a quick look down the Dolphins roster as Perone attempts the mid-range jump shot and knocks it down. Only 3 players on the Dolphins roster have attempted double-digit three-point attempts. Those being Megan McEwen, who we just mentioned, shooting 40%. Jackie Callie on 56 three-point attempts, shooting only 16%. As we'll see what the call is here. And it's a jump ball as Tadaro trapped that one against Brant, and possession right back with the Dolphins.
Nice defensive play that time by Tadero as the Dolphins continue to force turnovers. That's number 4.
I misspoke before. The first jump ball sent possession the way of the Cyclones. That second jump ball awards possession to the Dolphins as Tadaro drives to her left, kicks it into the corner for Nicole Mbesi. That three-pointer a bit long. And possession will stay right here as we'll have another foul away from the ball. Foul charge to Katie Alvarez. That's her second.
Yeah, so that'll be a loose ball foul as, once again, the Cyclones not really having an answer to Perone inside. They commit the loose ball foul.
Callie inbounds, and once again the ball travels into the backcourt. That time not touched by the Dolphins.
In the forecourt.
That's a rules lesson from you to me, Mike, as Dolphins swing it around the perimeter for McEwen, who attempts another three-pointer and knocks it down. She's quickly 2 for 2 from beyond the arc.
Yeah, and all of a sudden, Joe, the Dolphins go on a quick 8-0 run. 5.5 minutes remaining in the first quarter. Dolphins already leading by 8.
Well, allowing the Dolphins to knock down three-pointers is something that the Cyclones simply can't allow to happen in this game. And early on, the Dolphins 2 of 3 from beyond the arc. Both of those three-pointers knocked down by Megan McEwen, who is now 27 for 64 from three-point range on the season, leading the way for the Dolphins in that department. No other player has knocked down double-digit three-pointers for the Dolphins. I mentioned Jackie Callie on 56 attempts has only hit 9 of her three-pointers so far this season. The other Dolphins player to attempt at least 10 threes is Christina Camerlengo, who's knocked down 4 of her 11 three-point attempts this season. And that three-point shooting for this Dolphins team, a stark contrast to what we saw last year, a lot of three-point attempts in 2017.
Yeah, but with McEwen able to hit that three from the outside, Joe, and her handling the ball a lot, opens a lot of passing lanes inside to the Dolphin players. So big benefit when your point guard can hit that three-pointer.
She certainly commands respect from downtown as Tadaro comes away with the steal, but is then called for a double dribble.
Nice play by Diana to come away with the steal, though, as the Dolphins continue to put pressure on this Centenary offense.
Certainly characteristic of this Dolphins team defensively. They get into the passing lanes.
Yeah, they have 5 turnovers, Joe, does the Cyclones in less than 5 minutes.
It's been a sloppy start for Centenary College. Their deficit right now is 8 as that shot is blocked. Kayla Rowan tried to take it inside and is rejected. Dolphins quickly coming back the other way. Callie looking for Tadaro. Ball winds up back with Callie. It's swung up top to McEwen, who is called for traveling.
Yeah, so the turnover there for the Dolphins, that'll be their 3rd of the game.
Dolphins averaging 9 steals per game on the season so far this year. Well on their way to that number early in this game. Cyclones work it down toward the left corner. This is Victoria Jacobs driving to her right, kicks it back up top. And once again, Dolphins in the passing lane as Nicole Mbesi comes away with the steal and is stripped underneath. So the Dolphins will inbound along the baseline.
Yeah, so nice play again by Mbesi, forcing the turnover, able to take it to the basket. A little bit of contact, but no foul called, so the Dolphins will inbound underneath.
Callie to inbound, finds McEwen. McEwen throws one up, perhaps trying to draw a foul. And that wild shot, no good. Here come the Cyclones. Bossert over to the right wing. And I think that was a 2-pointer it was. Foot on the line for Victoria Jacobs.
Yeah, that breaks an 8-0 Dolphin run to make it 10-4.
Callie has this. Perone fights for position inside. She was looking that way, but Perone defended nicely inside by McKenzie. Ball finds its way to Perone, and traveling is the call, and that's the right call as Perone was able to put it in. No basket, negated by the traveling call.
Yeah, Rosa did a nice job getting her hands on the ball, but shuffled the feet a little bit and got called for the turnover, and Dolphins have turned the ball over 4 times themselves so far here in this first quarter.
Kayla Schmitter enters the game for the Dolphins with just over 4 minutes to go in the first quarter.
You had a look at head basketball coach for Centenary, Rose Heller, on your screen.
Mid-range jump shot knocked down by Victoria Jacobs, and she's hit her last 2 from the field.
Centenary doing a nice job, trailing by 4.
Well, if they can hold the Dolphins somewhere between 10 and 15 points a quarter, they'll certainly give themselves a chance to win this game. But Dolphins got off to a hot start offensively, has slowed up a bit as And Bessie tried to take it inside, couldn't finish, and off the offensive rebound, Schmitter can't put it home either. Here come the Cyclones back the other way quickly. Thinking about the left wing three was Brandt. Not having to think about it was Bossard, but her three-pointer is no good. Good pass inside to Nicole and Bessie, but she is called for traveling. That's another Dolphins turnover, Mike.
Yeah, you know, they're turning the ball over a lot, and, you know, they jumped out to that 10-2 lead, Joe, but it's been over 2 minutes since their last points.
Dolphins turnover total up to 5. 6 for the Cyclones so far in the first quarter, as Christina Camerlengo, who I just mentioned before, will check into the game in the first.
There you see those high turnover numbers on your screen.
It's been a sloppy start for both teams. Dolphins shot it well early, but turnovers beginning to plague them now. Dolphins shooting down to 4 of 11 after a good start. 6 on the shot clock. This is Caitlin Reyes looking for somewhere to go with it. 2 on the shot clock. 3-point attempt by Brandt is no good. Rebound to Diana Tadaro. Here come the Dolphins. McEwen looking to drive to her right, finds Tadaro following up on the play, and she puts it in.
Beautiful pass that time from McEwen to Tadaro. Tadaro now has 4.
Tadaro running the floor nicely there after coming away with the ball, pushing it up to McEwen, and trailing McEwen up the floor, is able to find an open lane and finish the layup. As a foul is called on the perimeter, that foul charge to Brianna Rubisky.
Yeah, Rubitsky checking into the game for the Dolphins and picking up her first personal.
Rubisky has gotten some starts for the Dolphins this season. We've seen, I think, her and Nicole and Bessie flip-flopping in that starting lineup from game to game. As the Cyclones inbound with a new 30 on the shot clock. This is Reyes with it, gives it up to Jacobs, who's knocked down her last 2. Schmitter defending Jacobs well. She gives it up to Brandt, who picks up her dribble, ball back with Jacobs. Jacobs drives to her left, throws one up, nearly puts it in, but she draws the foul.
Yeah, so nice offensive move that time by Jacobs, taking the ball to the basket aggressively and drawing the foul. That'll be on Schmitter for Kayla. That will be her first, the team's 4th, and that will send Centenary back to the free throw line. They've hit their first 2 so far tonight.
Cyclones have to like what they've seen from Jacobs early in this game. Knocked down a couple of shots a few minutes ago, and there, taking it aggressively toward the rim, knocks down her first free throw. As you get a look at the numbers for Jacobs early on in this game, leading the way for the Cyclones now with 5 points after that made free throw. Her second attempt from the line is no good off the back rim, rebounded by Kayla Schmitter. Under 2 minutes to go in the first quarter. Dolphins' lead is 5. Camerlengo uses the Tadaro screen. Gives it up to Schmitter on the perimeter. That one reeled in by Megan McEwen, who attempts her third three-pointer. It's no good. Dolphins nearly coming away with that offensive board, but it's pulled in nicely by McKenzie. Reyes brings it across center court for the Cyclones. They'll get into their half-court set. Jacobs defended closely by Rubisky. She'll reject the screen and drive toward the baseline. Rubisky cuts her off nicely. Ball back with Jacobs, now over to Brandt. 6 on the shot clock. Brandt attempts the three-pointer, no good. Fight for the rebound, and that's Jessica McKenzie coming away with it for a moment, and she is fouled.
Yeah, so Tadaro's going to get called for the foul from the floor that time, as that will be the first for Diana. Dolphins with their 5th foul will be over the limit, so that will lead to free throws coming up for the Cyclones after this timeout.
Well, he mentioned the battle on the boards in this one perhaps being key to the result, and we've seen a lot of scrambles for rebounds in this one. Both teams going for rebounds aggressively. Right there, we saw a couple of players wind up down on the floor before the foul was called, so good aggressive rebounding by both sides early in this game. And I mentioned Victoria Jacobs getting off to a good start for the Cyclones, and she's the 3rd leading scorer for the Centenary College team, averaging 7 points a game. Jessica McKenzie giving them 7.6, and Katie Alvarez leading the way, as we mentioned during the pregame, with 13. But I said it before, Mike, if the Cyclones can hold the Dolphins between 10 and 15 points per quarter, they should give themselves a shot in this game. If they can clean up the turnovers, they could be right there. They're trailing by 5 right now, but are certainly within striking distance.
Yeah, you know, they've done a pretty good job job defensively. The Dolphins are shooting just 5 of 13, but more importantly, they've also turned the ball over 5 times. So a nice job by the Cyclones, and if they can hit both their free throws here, they'll make it a one-possession game.
They'll certainly need to be successful from the free throw line, and that won't help achieving that as McKenzie misses the first.
Now 3 of 5 from the line.
And the second free throw by McKenzie is good. McKenzie now 3 of 4 from the charity stripe, and she will take a seat.
Dolphins with just 1 basket, Joe, in the last 4.5 minutes of play.
Final minute of the first quarter. Dolphins leading by 4. Tadaro has it up top, pass inside to Schmitter, and she finishes with the right hand. Good move there by Schmitter, spinning around the defender and scooping it in with the right hand, and she's proven to be very adept down in the low block all season long. 18 on the shot clock as Rubisky once again all over Jacobs off the ball, not giving her any space. Knocks the ball away for a moment. Jacobs hands off to Reyes. Ball now with Dana Witch. She looks to swing it back up top. 4 on the shot clock. I'm not sure Reyes realizes it. And she clearly did not, as she didn't look to shoot it. Her bench was calling it out for her, but...
Yeah, you know, we could hear the bench calling it, Joe, but she didn't hear it. So good defense by the Dolphins to force the turnover.
A much larger Dolphins bench than Cyclones bench. I see, I believe, 3 players, maybe 4 dressed on the bench for the Cyclones. The Dolphins with no less than 7. As there's 3 seconds to go here in the first quarter. Will the Dolphins get a shot up? They do, and Kayla Schmitter puts in a wild shot. Didn't look like the Dolphins were going to get off a shot there. McEwen swung it over to Schmitter with only a couple of seconds left to shoot, but Schmitter able to put it up and in, and that gives the Dolphins an 8-point lead at the end of 1 hour score. CSI 16, Centenary College 8. When we come back, coverage of the second quarter, exclusive NCAA Division III women's basketball coverage this afternoon on CSI Sportsnet.
They'll test you. Try to break your will. But however loud the loudness gets, however many cheese puffs may fly, you're the driver, the one in control. Stand firm. Just wait. And move only when you hear the click that says they're buckled in for the drive. Never give up till they buckle up.
And we are back from the tank. Second quarter about to get underway. Mike, Dolphins lead by 8. Strong first quarter for CSI. There were some blemishes along the way, but they finished it well. What did you see from the Dolphins?
Yeah, you said it absolutely perfectly, Joe. They finished it well. They went 4.5 minutes going into the last minute of play with just 2 points, but 2 late baskets by Kayla Schmitter in that last minute turned a 4-point lead into an 8-point lead for the Dolphins heading into quarter number 2.
And I think a big red flag for the Cyclones right now is they are shooting only 2 of 9 from the field. That certainly won't get it done against this Dolphins team that's averaging far more points per game than them this season. And the Cyclones have struggled to score all year. They got off to a decent start in this game. They were only trailing by 4 points with about a minute to go in that first quarter, but 2 late baskets by Kayla Schmitter extending the Dolphins' lead up to 8 points, and that puts them in a good position entering quarter number 2 as the second quarter gets started here from the tank. It will be Taylor Bossert bringing the ball up for the Cyclones. Ball now with Jacobs, defended well by Schmitter. They're not giving her any space after a couple of makes, and miscommunication there between Brandt and Bossert as the Cyclones throw it away. Megan McEwen calling out a play. This is Camerlengo looking for Schmitter inside. She's double teamed and can't finish. Cyclones immediately swarming to Kayla Schmitter on that one, not allowing her to get up another good look in the painted area. She scored 4 quick points off the bench for the Dolphins in that first quarter. McKenzie swings it over to Brandt. Back inside to McKenzie working against Schmitter. She's double teamed inside and can't finish. A wild shot attempt in there, but cleaning it up was Carly Tarnowski.
Nice jump shot there by Tarnowski to break that mini Dolphin run, make it 16-10.
That was a much-needed basket for the Cyclones, as the Dolphins had seized the momentum in this game early in this one, as that 3-point attempt by Schmitter is no good. Nearly stolen by McEwen. She'll have to get back into her spot on this Dolphins defense, and she does so as the Cyclones will slow it down into their half-court set. Ball in the corner with Brandt. Camerlingo goes down, and Brandt puts it up and in.
Beautiful crossover move that time by Brandt to get past the Dolphin defender, take it to the basket, lay it up and in, and make it a 4-point game once again.
That's Brandt's first made shot of the game on 5 attempts from the field as Camerlingo drives and throws one up before drawing the foul. Dolphins certainly looking to work the ball inside, whether it be on the entry pass or driving to the rim. We've said that about this team so far this season, shooting far fewer three-pointers than last year, but when they have shot the three, Megan McEwen, anyway, has done so efficiently.
Yeah, she has. This will be the first Dolphin free throw of the afternoon. As Christina misses, she'll have one more. That was the first free throw of the year for Camerlingo. And we're going to have a lane violation.
So it's 0 of 2 from the line for Camerlingo. Cyclones trail by 4, looking to get it back down to a one-possession game. That's Rowan swinging it over to Bossert. Ball inside to Jacobs. Nice fake to the inside, and she finishes. A good move there by Victoria Jacobs.
Beautiful move by Jacobs. Centenary now on a 6-0 run to make it a one-possession game. Dolphins have not yet scored in the second quarter.
Pass over to Rubisky. She drives baseline and puts it up and in. Count the basket and the foul.
That was a beautiful, aggressive offensive move that time by Rubinski. She took the ball to the basket aggressively, was able to use her body, draw the foul, hit the layup, and she'll go to the free throw line.
Good body control and hang time on that finish by Rubisky. And she'll look to complete the three-point play from the charity stripe. She does. Dolphins lead back up to 5. Those the first 3 Dolphins points of this second quarter, about 2.5 minutes into quarter number 2. This is Kayla Rowan. Bossert uses the screen from McKenzie, and a good play there by Diana Tadaro. She read that pass from the start. Had some space to drive there, instead gives it up to Rubisky. Callie open at the top of the arc. She'll attempt the three-pointer. That shot is short. And Jackie's struggles from three-point range continue.
Yeah, she's really had her problems this year from the three-point line, Joe.
That shot attempted by Rowan, no good. And let's see who the foul will be charged to. That's Kayla Schmitter's second. And I believe it was on a shot attempt. My view obstructed by the official, but this will be Carly Tarnowski going to the line for 2. And her first attempt from the charity stripe, no good off the back rim.
Centenary out rebounding the Dolphins now 14-9, including 4-3 on the offensive glass. So a good job here by Centenary.
I said it before, the Cyclones simply can't afford to give the Dolphins any second chances, and they will certainly benefit from second chances of their own. And trailing by 4 here, every rebound is key, as that's a reckless pass up the floor by Tadaro. Stolen by the Cyclones. They push it up the floor quickly. Jacobs from the corner. Shot no good, rebounded by Callie. She looked to push it ahead to Rubisky, and that pass right on the money as Rubisky draws the foul.
Yeah, nice hands by Rubinski to make the pass, and then nice body control to be able to get the ball up to the basket. And she will go to the free throw line once again to shoot 2.
Rubisky converted on the conventional three-point play last time she visited the free throw line, knocks down her second free throw attempt there. Rubisky now with 4 points on the game, a good start offensively for her. As we'll have a substitution for the Cyclones, it will be Dana Witch, giving Victoria Jacobs a breather.
Dolphins now 2 of 6 from the line. Rubisky with both makes. And now she's 3 for 3.
So Brianna stays perfect from the free throw line, extending the Dolphins' lead back up to 6. 6:35 to go in this second quarter. Ball down in the corner with Rowan. Looking for somewhere to go with it. Not getting much help. It's McKenzie who comes over to receive that pass. Jump shot attempt by Kayla Rowan. Offensive rebound to Jessica McKenzie, and she puts it back up and in.
That was a beautiful job by McKenzie getting offensive position on Mbesi, grabbing the rebound and laying it in.
McKenzie's been a big factor on the boards early in this one as Mbesi's called for another travel. Not putting the ball down on the floor before she makes her move. She gets that first step by the defender, but has to put the ball down first. That's yet another Dolphins turnover, and I mentioned McKenzie doing well on the boards for the Cyclones. She has 3 offensive rebounds already in this game to go along with a pair of defensive rebounds. This is Bossert in the corner, back up to McKenzie, drives to her left, finds Tarnowski in the left corner, and there's another offensive rebound, this time by Kayla Rowan.
That was a nice looking offensive set and a nice offensive rebound that time for the Cyclones.
For a team not scoring the basketball very well so far this season, Cyclones have had some good movement on the offensive end. Gotten some decent looks. And that's a reckless pass inside, but a foul is called.
Boy, oh boy, I'm not sure about that one, Joe.
There was no, I don't know about the call, Mike, but there was no need to foul there. They had a player both in front of and behind Jessica McKenzie. Really no room to put that ball, and if that pass is put perfectly on target, McKenzie comes down with it in a double team and has nowhere to go. So
Tadero picks up her second, and she'll go to the bench.
Certainly not the foul the Dolphins wanted to commit, especially as the shot clock was beginning to wind down. It's a fresh 30 for the Cyclones. Their deficit is 4 as they swing it around the perimeter. Bossert will use the McKenzie screen. McKenzie thought about the jump shot, instead gives it up inside to Witch. She has some space, and she finishes over Nicole Mbesi.
Yeah, that time Callie went for the steal, didn't get it, and a nice play to take it to the basket and make it a 2-point game once again.
Cyclones looking good offensively in the second quarter. They're 5 of 10 from the field. Have already scored 11 halfway through the second. That one nearly got away from Mbesi as Perrone looks to drive. Floats it up with 2 hands, no good. And the Cyclones now have a chance to draw even or take the lead.
Dolphins have led the entire way. Centenary could take the lead with a 3-point basket.
Owen over to McKenzie. Good head fake. And we'll see what the call is here. It's a blocking foul.
I think they're going to call that on Callie.
Well, they're calling it on Rubisky, who looked to be pretty well positioned underneath.
It is on Rubisky, and that's going to send McKenzie, but that's going to first trigger a timeout for the Dolphins, Joe.
So that will be a full timeout. We'll take our first break of the afternoon. Our score in the second quarter with 4:19 remaining. The Dolphins 21 and the Cyclones 19. When we come back, the conclusion of quarter number 2.
Look at you. You're at the top of your game. You're unstoppable. Nothing can throw you off track. Wait, is that your car? Uh-oh. Yeah, I saw that coming. That will throw you off track. You're looking at around 10 grand in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates. Let's try this again. Smart move. Because buzz driving is drunk driving.
And we are back from the tank. Just a few seconds remaining in this full timeout. Dolphins lead down to 2 points. A strong second quarter so far for the Cyclones, Mike.
Yeah, you know, Joe, the Dolphins have only scored 5 points here in this second quarter, including 3 from the 3-point line. Their only basket of the second quarter, I believe, was that Rubinski basket where she completed the 3-point play. So, you know, Dolphins with just 16 points in the first half. In the first quarter, I should say, just 5 points so far here in the second quarter, and they find themselves in a tough battle with the Cyclones, leading by 2, 21-19.
And another huge stat from this second quarter right now, the Dolphins being out-rebounded 9-1 in quarter number 2, and that's something they simply can't afford in this game. And we spoke about it during the pregame. If the Cyclones could win that battle on the glass, they could certainly put themselves in a position to win this game. And not only are the Dolphins being out-rebounded 9-1, but it's 4-0 in favor of Centenary on the offensive glass. And the woman at the line right now, Jessica McKenzie, a big part of that. She has a chance to tie this game for her team with 4:19 to go in the second. And her first free throw is good. McKenzie continuing to do damage from the free throw line. That's the product of some of these offensive rebounds. You get the rebound underneath off the missed shot, go right back up with it, draw the foul, and McKenzie puts 2 more points up on the scoreboard, tying the score at 21. She's now 5 of 6 from the line. Big possession here for the Dolphins. Really struggling for offense in this second quarter. You mentioned only 1 field goal. And there's another Dolphins turnover. And Mike, how many times have the Dolphins been called for traveling in this game?
Yeah, I thought that was a little bit of a tough call, but the turnover battle now 9-8. Centenary with 9 turnovers. You see it up on your screen.
Well, Cyclones can take the lead, and the Dolphins really playing some sloppy basketball in the second quarter. Struggling for offense as well, as we're down to 10 on the shot clock. Jacobs looking for somewhere to go with it. Good backdoor cut there by Tarnowski, but a foul is called, and the Cyclones will be back on the free throw line.
Yeah, tough foul that time on Perone. Maybe she got a little bit with the body, but she'll pick up the first personal. It'll lead to a couple of free throws now coming up here for Carly Tarnowski, with an opportunity to give the Cyclones the lead for the first time, as you have an opportunity to see the replay, as that first free throw is no good. A lot of ball.
Well, on a shot like that, your hand is part of the ball. That's the NBA rule anyway, but certainly looked like some contact from behind there. I think the call at the end of yesterday's game was much tougher, and you didn't see that first free throw attempt. It was no good, but the second free throw for Tarnowski goes down, and it's a 1-point lead for the Cyclones. And not only have they dominated on the glass and had a very strong second quarter, but from the free throw line, shooting exceptionally well, 8 of 12 so far in this game. And the Dolphins facing their first deficit in this one as Perone throws up an air ball.
Yeah, Dolphins being outscored here in this second quarter, 14-5, and trail 22-21 as they trail for the first time here this afternoon.
It's been a real struggle shooting for most of the Dolphins who have seen the floor in this one. Rosa Perone, 1 of 4. Nicole Bessie and Jackie Callie looking for their first makes of the game. Jacobs looks to back down and kicks it out to the wide open Jessica McKenzie. Her jump shot no good. Here comes Jackie Callie. Up to Camerlengo. Fakes the 3, and there's another travel. Turnovers continue to pile up.
Yeah, that'll be number 9. Turnover battle now even at 9 apiece.
Well, if you told us before the game that both the Dolphins and Cyclones would have the same number of turnovers early in this game, you would have to think the way the Dolphins have shot the ball this year, they'd have an advantage, but that hasn't been the case in this game.
No, Centenary clearly outplaying the Dolphins here in this second quarter, as they'll pick up a foul in the backcourt, so the Dolphins will inbound with 2:42 remaining here in the second quarter.
And it's surprising that you say that, Mike, because at the end of the first quarter, the Dolphins were leading by 8. A strong finish to the first for the Dolphins. That did not carry over into quarter number 2. So given the way that first quarter ended, we certainly didn't see this coming as the Dolphins' struggles from the field illustrated there on your screen. It's 1 of 6 in the second quarter. Make it 1 of 7 for CSI. Rosa Perone now 1 of 5 on her own in this game overall, as Kayla Schmitter will head over to the scorer's table and check in for the final 2 minutes or so in this first half. Jacobs defended by Perone. She picks up her dribble, and Dolphins come away with an easy steal. Jacobs had nowhere to go with it, but Callie throws one up off the bottom of the rim. Late whistle, but the right call is Callie gets up slowly. Foul charge to Carly Tarnowski. That's her second. It's the team's 5th.
So the Dolphins not able to get their second basket on the play, so now Callie will have to go to the free throw line and earn it, as she'll shoot 2 from the line. Jackie shooting just 42% from the free throw line this year.
Her struggles from the line continue as well. It's been a tough year for Callie to this point, especially from three-point range. As really, it's been her and Megan McEwen taking the majority of the threes for the Dolphins, but only McEwen has been able to knock those down. And you get a look at the free throw shooting, and it's been rebounding and free throw shooting that have propelled the Cyclones to a 1-point lead after trailing by 8 at the end of the first. And Dolphins really struggling from the free throw line now, 3 of 9. Maybe be 3 of 10 after that pair. I'll double check that, but it is 9. And there's another lazy pass by the Cyclones. Dolphins have been in the passing lanes, as the shot attempt by Callie is no good. And I thought a jump ball might be called there. The ball was pinned down against Nicole and Bessie. She gave it up to Callie, who couldn't finish. And it's been a rough second quarter for the Dolphins. Even in transition now, off of these steals, they're struggling to get quality looks and easy baskets.
Dolphins haven't scored, Joe, since there was 6 minutes and 38 seconds remaining in this second quarter.
Well, the Dolphins may be eager to get into that locker room, perhaps not for the tongue lashing they will receive from Nicole Sarcone, but just to get a breather and regroup, as it's been a miserable second quarter for CSI. That three-point attempt by Bossert rattles in off glass, and Centenary now has their biggest lead of the game at 4 points. We approach 1 minute to go in the first half. The Dolphins reeling right now as Camerlengo throws up an air ball from the right wing, and things going from bad to worse for the Dolphins. Here come the Cyclones. Bench telling their team, that being the Dolphins bench, don't stop talking at the defensive end. It's been a major uptick in offense for Centenary in this second quarter. They've put 17 points up on the scoreboard in quarter number 2. Looking to add to that here, it's Jacobs. And she loses it. Another fast break opportunity for the Dolphins, and Megan McEwen converts the easy fast break layup, and the Dolphins desperately needed that.
Yeah, that breaks a scoreless streak for the Dolphins that was over 6 minutes long, Joe.
And through it all, their deficit is only 2 points. Cyclones have the last shot of this first half if they want it. $11 to go in the quarter. Bossert working against McEwen. Gets a screen from Witch. And it's a 3-second violation. I believe that was called against Jessica McKenzie. So last shot of the quarter belongs to the Dolphins. They can tie it or take the lead. 6.7 on the clock. Here comes Megan McEwen. Inside of 5 seconds. McEwen floats one up off the front rim. No good. And bringing it in was Victoria Jacobs. That will bring the first half to a close. And after taking an 8-point lead into this second quarter, the Dolphins find themselves trailing by 2 at the half. Not sure if we're getting a guess, so we'll wait a few moments. But, Mike, quick takeaways from that second quarter.
Well, the takeaway is the Dolphins were outplayed by a Centenary team that has come here to play a competitive basketball game and to try to play here to win tonight. And they did a great job in the second half. They outscored the Dolphins. They got 17 points in the second half. They go into halftime with a 2-point lead and a well-deserved 2-point lead for the Cyclones.
And it was a great second quarter for the Cyclones. Things really slowed down for the Dolphins offensively in quarter number 2. So we'll see if they can bounce back in the third. We will have a guest coming on for us at halftime as we scramble to get one from the Dolphins bench.
Yeah, so, again, the Dolphins picking up just 9 points in that second half, outscored 17-9 and out-rebounded. They've been out-rebounded in this game 23-11, Joe. I thought they had 9 rebounds going into the second quarter, so a lot of work to do for the Dolphins. As Victoria Cray, nice enough to come over and join us here.
Welcome back to CSI Sportsnet in 2018 as a coach now, and your team really struggled in that second quarter. What changed from quarter number 1 to quarter number 2?
I think our girls are getting in their head a little bit. We need to push the ball a little bit more, make our layups. That would definitely help us. Defensively, I think they're doing really well. They're communicating. It's just, I think we got out of our offense a little bit, and we're going to go speak to them and get them back in our sets.
So in an abbreviated form, what's the message in the halftime locker room?
Be patient with the ball, set screens, work, look for your shots, and forget the first half. Like, we missed some shots. It happens, but shake it off and, like we said, set up our sets, run our offensive plays, and move forward.
Coach, you out-rebounded 23-11 in that first half. How do you turn that around?
We'll go in there and let them know that they need to start boxing out a little bit more instead of standing with them and jumping. And if we could get offense and defensive rebounds, that's how we're going to get our offensive transition and getting up and down the court. So.
Thanks for coming over and joining us.
Thank you.
We are at halftime here from the tank. Our score at the half, Cyclones 25, Dolphins 23. When we come back, we'll take a look back at the first half and preview the second half from the tank. Exclusive NCAA Division III basketball coverage continues in a few minutes on CSI Sportsnet.
I, Krista, take you, Jamie, to be my wife.
The ceremony was a blast. It was just like this surreal moment of my dreams are coming true. When we found out that we were pregnant, we were just elated. We were just sitting there waiting for the pediatrician. She said, "Oh, I apologize. She won't be taking you in as a client." We are a lesbian couple, but she's just a baby. She's the one you're denying the service to. And sitting there in that small, cold room, I wanted to cry, just thinking, what did we bring this kid into? We're simply asking to treat our family the same way that you would treat any family.
They said I couldn't dream. Called me a piece of trash and swore that's all I'd ever be. Said a bottle couldn't see the ocean. Give up. Go back to the dumpster. But I didn't listen. I made my way. And now, I am what I've always wanted to be. So we were walking to school. At the corner, we waited for the traffic light.
I started thinking about lunch. Mom pat me turkey and cheese.
She's
I really
smart,
want cheese pizza,
but
like at Luigi's.
sometimes her mind wanders.
They have this video game there, and Kate's got the high score. We should have a sleepover. Maybe I should pack my pajamas.
I remember saying, Laura? Laura?
I think I heard Mom say something.
The sign says don't walk.
Sometimes it's so overwhelming.
When we finally got there,
she gave me a hug goodbye.
I really hope she doesn't
I
have
really
another
hope I
bad
don't
day
have
at
another
school
bad day at
today.
school today.
When you can see learning and attention issues from their side, you can be on their side. That's why there's Understood.org, a free online resource for the parents of the 1 in 5 kids with learning and attention issues. Here you'll get personalized recommendations, practical tips, daily access to experts, and more. Go from misunderstanding to Understood.org.
Be right back.
Hi! You think you're probably sober?
Yeah.
But you're thinking about taking the back roads home, just in case. If you're probably sober, then why would you do that? Good choice.
Probably okay isn't okay. If you see a warning sign, stop and call a cab, a car, or a friend.
That's a full glass of wine. I'll be chatting you later.
What to expect when you're expecting a teenager.
Today we're talking about how to wake up your teen, and this works literally every time.
Good kisses. Good kisses. You heard how loud
I heard. It wasn't you. It was the...
Is that bacon? You don't have to know it all to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will love you just the
You
same.
want to retire like a champ? Just like legendary basketball star Uncle Drew?
Don't do him like that, Uncle Drew!
You're already acing the game. You've got your dream ride.
Don't be slamming my door.
Sorry about that.
You just did the same.
Gotta get the boys.
Your dream vacation and your dream team. And now you can make your retirement just as legendary.
I get buckets.
Get the tips you need to get on track at aceyourretirement.org.
First time I tried Vicodin, it was laying around my mom's house. And then I kept taking them whenever I could get them. I didn't know they'd be this addictive. I didn't know how far I'd go to get more. Opioid dependence can happen after just 5 days. Know the truth, spread the truth.
No doubt you're going places, young lady.
Thank you. And thank you for the interview as well. I can imagine it was the last thing that you wanted to do after such a long campaign meeting.
You really are a very intelligent young woman. You're very smooth.
You're very smooth yourself.
You have no idea.
Awkward. I'm the awkward silence. You try to avoid me, then there I am again.
But an awkward silence can be a great thing.
Like Kelly here is about to demonstrate.
You haven't really been yourself lately. Are you okay?
Find out how you can help a friend with their mental health at seizetheawkward.org.
And we're back here from the Tank. This is Joe Foreman, once again joined by Mike Babusky. We're at halftime from the Tank live at the College of Staten Island. Dolphins in perhaps a surprising first half result, trailing the Cyclones by 2 points. Our score Centenary 25 and CSI 23. And Mike, taking a look down the first half stats, a lot of different things stand out. We mentioned the rebounding, the poor shooting by the Dolphins overall now, but especially in that second quarter. What else stands out to you?
Yeah, you know, you look at Centenary, they're outscoring the Dolphins in second chance points 10-3. And you mentioned before, Joe, the Dolphins struggling from the field, just 9 of 26 here on the afternoon from the field. So they're struggling from the field. They really didn't get hardly any rebounds in the second half, as you see the totals up on your screen right there. And, you know, Dolphins just have to come out and really play a little bit better here in the second half. But, you know, like we mentioned during the broadcast, Joe, Centenary has come here to play. They've come out. They've won their last game after dropping their first 6. And, you know, they see an opportunity to get a win on the road. And, you know, if the Dolphins are going to win in this second half, they're going to have to play much better than they did in the first half.
And I've said it many times before, not only about college sports, but any competition in general. One of the worst things you can do against the team that you're expected to beat is to give them that feeling that they can come into your home building, especially, and beat you. And the Dolphins have certainly allowed the Cyclones to hang around in this game. And, of course, now the Cyclones leading. But after that first quarter, things were looking up for the Dolphins. And a good place to start here in recapping the first half is comparing quarter number 1 to quarter number 2. And in that first quarter, the Dolphins led 16-8 at the end of the quarter, shot 7 of 15 from the field, a good shooting quarter, 2 of 4 from three-point range, but things took a drastic turn for the worse for CSI in the second quarter. After outscoring the Cyclones 16-8 in that first quarter, they were outscored 17-7 in the second quarter, out-rebounded 15-2. They didn't knock down a single three-pointer in that second quarter. And overall, their shooting dipped big time. They shot 2 of 11 from the field. So the Dolphins really struggled in quarter number 2. And one final area where these two teams are displaying really a complete difference in success is the free throw line. The free throw shooting for the Cyclones overall, 8 of 12. The Dolphins 3 of 9.
Yeah, you know, you look at the numbers, Joe, and they're not what you're looking for if you're the Dolphin coaching staff here. And again, you know, Dolphins came out and they struggled in the second quarter, but the good news is that they find themselves only down by 2 points. They have an entire half of basketball to go, and you know, they're going to need to come out and play, like we mentioned, a little bit better here in the second half. But, you know, when your shots aren't falling, Joe, you don't look like you're playing very well. And Dolphins were, I believe it was 2 of 11 or so in the second quarter shooting from the field. And when you have those kind of numbers, it makes it difficult. But, you know, like we mentioned, the good news is they find themselves down only 2.
And we'll take a look at some first half standouts from both sides as well. Offensively, first for the Cyclones, it was Victoria Jacobs scoring 7 points. A lot of those came early in that first half. She got off to a hot start, but then wasn't a huge factor offensively in that second quarter. It was Jessica McKenzie who really stepped things up in quarter number 2. She scored 7 points in that first half, was a +8. And I know a lot of people don't put much stock in the plus-minus, but +8 certainly reflected in Jessica McKenzie's second quarter play. Also, Carly Tarnowski, a +9 in that first half for the Cyclones, and she played primarily in the second quarter, if I recall correctly. Did play 12.5 minutes in that first half overall, but I believe was out there most of the second quarter and certainly played some impactful minutes for the Cyclones. She had 5 rebounds of her own and scored 4 points, 2 of those coming from the free throw line. She was 1 of 2 from the field. And for the Dolphins in that first half offensively, it was really Megan McEwen and not much else aside from Brianna Rybisky and Kayla Schmitter. Looking at the numbers in that first half, McEwen scored 8, Rybisky scored 5, but 3 of those 5 came from the free throw line. And other than that, Diana Todaro scored 4 points in 14.5 minutes. She was 2 of 2 from the field. Kayla Schmitter got off to a good, well, I should say a good start off the bench, a strong finish to the first quarter, but then was a non-factor in quarter number 2. Didn't get too many minutes in that second quarter. I believe came in later in the quarter, perhaps for the second time in that second quarter. Schmitter played about 9 minutes and 20 seconds in that first half.
Yeah, and, again, Joe, we look at some of the numbers here for the Dolphins, and, again, they're going to want to try to turn the ball over a little bit less and try to get some better looks offensively, Joe. Although they have a size advantage, they really haven't done a good job taking advantage of it. And when they have gotten the balls to their bigs on the inside, they're not taking good percentage shots. They're rushing their shots. They're, shooting off balance. Rosa took a couple of off-balance shots in that second half. So if you get the ball inside and you don't have the space, kick it back out and try to kick it back in again. But Dolphins rushing a little bit offensively and really not getting good shots in the flow of their offense.
That's a good point, Mike. We heard Victoria Cray talking to us just before our halftime break about the Dolphins looking to take the shots when they are there. And they've had some space in the mid-range, but have instead elected to take it all the way inside and then throw up some of those wild shots that you mentioned. The rebounding certainly has to be better. We've spoken about that time and time again already, and we're only at halftime, and I'm sure that's a topic we'll be talking about some more as this game moves forward. The Dolphins' deficit at halftime is only 2 points, despite a very poor second quarter. Thankfully for them, they got off to a strong start in this game, finished the first quarter very strong. It didn't carry over into the second. They hope that their poor second quarter won't carry over into the third.
Yeah, and Joe, the Dolphins had won 5 games in a row before dropping that game against Wagner, and they don't want to go into their conference season starting next week with 2 losses in a row. So big 20 minutes for the Dolphins to come and turn this game around.
And they certainly don't want to enter the conference portion of their schedule playing like this, not only with a defeat, but what we saw in the second quarter, I'm sure the coaching staff agrees with me, is certainly unacceptable. They were dominated on the boards, shot very poorly. The shot selection wasn't there, and they began to pile up turnovers, which is very uncharacteristic of this team. Some very reckless passes and some really, it was a lot of travels. I recall at least 4 or 5 travels, and taking a look at the total turnovers for this Dolphins team in that first half, it was 9 turnovers for the College of Staten Island in that first half. At least 5 or 6 of those were travels, so the Dolphins need to clean that up as well. As we are underway in the second half, Dolphins possess the ball first, trailing by 2. They find Diana Todaro inside, and trailing no more. The Dolphins, they've tied it up at 25 on that Todaro basket.
Sorry, Joe. Todaro really the only efficient offensive player for the Dolphins, 3 of 3 from the field.
She didn't get many looks in the first half, but when she did, they were quality looks inside, and that's what the Dolphins need more of. As Victoria Jacobs is off the mark on her first shot of the second half. Dolphins coming back the other way. McEwen up to Callie, thought about the 3, drives inside, and draws the foul.
Yeah, that time it was Alvarez trying to come over quickly and cut off Callie. She didn't get there in time, so Callie draws the block, and she'll go to the free throw line with an opportunity to give the Dolphins the lead.
I'm a bit surprised we missed this, Mike. Katie Alvarez, the leading scorer for the Cyclones team, played under 2 minutes in that first half after picking up a pair of early fouls. She did not check back in, was kept off of the scoreboard, and now has picked up a 3rd foul early in this third quarter.
Yeah, the team played well with her on the bench. So it'll be Callie going to the line now. Jackie missed her first 2 free throws earlier today.
And has now missed her first 3. It's really been a struggle for Callie in this one. 0 of 3 from the field, 0 of 2 from beyond the arc, and 0 of 2 from the line. Now 0 of 3, as I just mentioned. This free throw is to give her team the lead. We're knotted up at 25, less than a minute into the third quarter, and Callie knocks down her second free throw attempt. Dolphins back in front. Cyclones with the ball looking to take the lead right back. Bossert working against McEwen. Swings it over to Witch. Up top to Alvarez, who stays in with the 3 fouls. This is Brandt, who once again picks up her dribble. We've seen a lot of that from the Cyclones, picking up their dribble a bit prematurely as a timeout comes over from the bench, and I think they saw that happen on a couple of occasions in that situation, or that possession, I should say. and it will be a 30-second timeout. So not much to look back on early in the second quarter. Any positive signs you've seen from the Dolphins?
Well, you know, they got off to a good start. They had a good play to start the second half, getting the ball inside to Tadero. Tadero able to lay it up and in, and then able to take the lead as Callie caught the ball at the three-point line, faked the three-pointer, and drove it hard to the basket. So a couple of good offensive plays by the Dolphins to start here in the second half, and a couple of good defensive plays as well. Coach Rose Haller not liking what she's seeing out of the Cyclone offense. They were a little stagnant looking to start that second half with that second play, so she wants to call a timeout and get them back on track as well.
They will have less than 10 on the shot clock. The shot clock's down to 5. Jacobs looking to drive inside, and Rosa Perone picks up a bad foul there.
Yeah, that's a tough foul. Rosa's sticking her leg out a little bit on the play, getting called for the personal. So Rosa, the first player on the Dolphins to get to 3 personal fouls.
Well, going back to some encouraging signs for the Dolphins early in the second half, and really throughout this game, as 2 players tied up inside, jump ball was called, and possession will stay right here. But as I was saying, some encouraging signs for the Dolphins overall in this game. Really, they've gotten to the rim fairly easily. When they've gotten there, it's been some wild shots they've attempted. But they are drawing defenders, getting the Cyclones to collapse inside. Maybe one more pass for some higher quality looks would help them quite a bit in this game, or perhaps even when they have that space in the mid-range, stopping and pulling those mid-range jump shots. As Alvarez catches double-teamed, and that one is stuffed by McEwen. As Brant was thinking about the three-pointer, Megan McEwen had other ideas, took it away. And Bessie wide open for 3, doesn't take the shot. Pass nearly stolen. Dolphins wind up with it again. Perone out to Callie. Callie's left wing 3, no good. Ball headed down toward the corner. And we'll see which way this is going, and we will head back in the other direction.
Yeah, Dolphins had a good look on that play. Callie couldn't convert the jumper. Fight for the ball, and it will be Cyclone basketball here. Played just over a minute and a half here in the third quarter. Dolphins with the only points here in quarter number 3.
Ball in the corner with Brant. Dribbles back up to the wing. Again, picks up her dribble with nowhere to go, and McKenzie comes over and bails her out. Gives it right back to Brant. Over to Bossert. 9 on the shot clock. Entry pass is stolen by Tadaro. Alvarez, not much space to make a catch on that one. A pair of Dolphins in the area as Tadaro once again trailing on the fast break, finishes the layup and gives the Dolphins a 3-point lead.
So Tadaro steals the basketball, follows up on the play, and gets the layup. She's got 8 for the Dolphins.
Dolphins have to love the way she runs the floor, comes up with a steal or a rebound, always follows the play, fills the correct lane, and there comes away with an easy basket as that prompts a Cyclones timeout. With 7:41 to go in this third quarter, it is a 30-second timeout.
Yeah, Joe, and I believe the turnover battle was once 9-8. Centenary 9, Dolphins 8. The turnover battle is now 16-9. So Centenary starting to turn the ball over a lot. They haven't scored in the first 2 minutes and 20 seconds, and you had to figure at some point the Dolphin offense would kick it into gear a little bit. So the Dolphins have turned around the 2-point deficit. They've scored the only 6 points here in the third quarter to take a 3-point lead.
And if you're a fan of the Dolphins, this is certainly what you'd like to see, coming out strong in the second half, but getting it done first at the defensive end, making sure you keep this Centenary team that has struggled for offense off of the scoreboard and then playing from there, because we know this Dolphins team can score. It was a good offensive first quarter, not a good offensive second quarter, but they're off to a strong start shooting the ball in this third quarter. Dolphins possess it out of the timeout. Entry pass to Perone. And another wild shot in a double team. That's a shot that simply can't be taken. One more pass needs to be made there, as Jacobs is given a ton of space but bricks that shot. That caught nothing but glass, and good effort there by Jessica McKenzie, who throws the ball off of Rosa Perone. And those are the types of plays from Jessica McKenzie that really propelled her team forward in that second quarter and led to the Cyclones ultimately taking the lead.
Yeah, you know, she's a freshman from Lansdale, Pennsylvania, listed at 5'11", and certainly has been one of the better players on the floor all afternoon long.
Well, the outside shot certainly has not been there for the Cyclones in this game. They've only hit one of their three-pointers. I believe that was attempt number 9, unless they register that into our live stats application before I could glance down. And I think that was the 8th three-point attempt. So, nope, 1 of 9 just came up.
1 of 9. Sorry, Joe, you see the rebounding total, 25-14 in favor of Centenary.
And if you look at that second quarter, that's a big reason why they have an advantage on the glass, as Mbessi's shot rims out. Todaro fights for the rebound, but it's Bossert who comes away with it. Here come the Cyclones once again, and they'll swing it around the perimeter. Wide open in the corner is Tarnowski, and she knocks down the jump shot.
Yeah, Tarnowski's been very effective offensively here for the Cyclones this afternoon, as she picks up her 6 points of the game.
Dolphins lead back down to 1. Perone has it back to the basket, back up to Callie, and now with the point guard, Megan McEwen. 10 on the shot clock. McEwen uses the Todaro screen. Tries to go back around it in the other direction, and unhappy with that call was Taylor Bossert. As Mike receives some new merch. Nice Dolphins long sleeve t-shirt, your signature apparel.
Well, you know that head coach TJ Tibbs always taking care of us at Sportsnet, and it looks like we might have a offensive foul called on Todaro. And the Dolphins find themselves in a one-point battle once again, Joe, with the Cyclones in possession of the basketball, as Todaro now picks up her third foul, and she's been their most effective offensive player here this afternoon, so she stays on the floor with 3.
Got off to a strong start in the game, and then another strong start, a quick 2 of 2 in the second half. As McKenzie loses it, but possession will stay here. We had some unhappy fans of the Jumbos over our left shoulder yesterday, some unhappy Dolphins fans over our shoulder now, as we get another look at that foul call.
Yeah, you know, she just moved a little bit, and it was just enough to get the foul, and now the Dolphins find themselves down once again.
Well, the Cyclones finally hitting their second three-pointer. Been a while since that first made three-point attempt. That was Taylor Bossert knocking down that outside shot and giving her team the lead again. Dangerous pass there. Pulled in by Callie. Uses the Perone screen, steps back behind the three-point line. That shot way short. And Dave almost got caught with his head down there as the action came rumbling over towards him.
Dolphins a little fortunate on that one, Joe, as McEwen kind of bounced off of Bossert. Bossert called for going out of bounds, so it'll be Dolphin basketball as the Dolphin offensive struggles continue, Joe, here in this third quarter.
I'm not sure the Dolphins are as fortunate as our monitors. And Callie has been able to get inside and draw contact around the rim. Hasn't had much success from the free throw line, but they certainly respect her shot fake, and she's been able to get that first step by the defenders and get to the rim drawing contact. So I think that's what she needs to look to do from this point forward in the game.
Yeah, she's still looking for her first made free throw. She's now, she's made 1 of 5 from the free throw line. So our struggles shooting continue all over the floor here tonight.
It's been a difficult season so far for Callie. Just can't get a bounce on that second free throw as well. And another 0-2 from the line for Callie. It's been a difficult day for her, to say the least. But her team is only trailing by 2 points. Still plenty of time to turn this game around. For her individually and for the Dolphins as a team, they're right there. Back up top to Bossert, looking to make it 2 straight three-pointers, and she does. Centenary back in front by 5.
Yeah, Centenary continuing to outplay the Dolphins, have their biggest lead of the game. It's 5 points.
McEwen will receive a screen from Perone, and is that another illegal screen?
Yeah, it sure is. You keep doing the same things and expect a different result. That time, Perone leading into the screen gets called for an offensive foul. The officials have been calling it all game long, and the Dolphins turn the ball over once again.
Well, that's Perone's 4th. She will take a seat. Brianna Rabisky checks in, and we'll have to get a look at the replay right here and see. In live action, I didn't think a foul would be called on that screen, but much easier to break it down in slow motion, as I'll call some of the action to our right as we await the foul call on the replay. And we have a travel at the other end of the floor. Here comes Perone on that screen, as the Dolphins will possess it in just a few moments in live action. And she did lean into it a little bit.
Right into it, and she did the same thing that Diana did on the near side of the floor. They were both called for offensive fouls, so they're going to have to watch that here for the remainder of the game.
As a player, you have to appreciate the consistency as that call has been made, and it was the right call looking at the replays. Another good entry pass on the cut this time. It's Brianna Rybisky who's had herself a good day. Now 2 of 2 from the field, 3 of 3 from the free throw line. She has 7 in only 10 minutes.
Sorry, Joe, that breaks the Centenary run.
And that's a poor entry pass there as the Cyclones look to throw it inside despite double teams on the player positioned on the low post. Here's another look at that pass.
Yeah, and it's been the turnovers that have been what's kept the Dolphins in the game here so far, as they'll keep possession of the basketball. 19-11 your total.
3:43 to go in the third. 20 on the shot clock for the Dolphins after that inbound. Callie, deep two-pointer in the corner, and she knocks that shot down, her first from the field.
Yeah, she needed that one, and she got it, and that draws the Dolphins back to within 1 point as they're on a mini 4 run of their own.
We'll see if that can get her going. It's been a struggle for her so far today. Still plenty of time left in this one. Bossert looks to knock down another three-pointer, and that's an air ball.
Good defense that time by the Dolphins. I don't believe that ball was touched, so it should be Dolphin basketball. If somebody is watching, they can make the call.
Well, the 3 officials will talk about it, and they changed the call.
Didn't think anybody touched it, but apparently the officials disagree. Dave Pizzuto giving us the replay. Ball is not touched, but it will be Cyclone ball anyway.
You have better eyes than I do, Mike. I couldn't tell.
Well, I wasn't really going from the replay. I was really going from seeing it live.
That's exactly what I was thinking. I did not think it was touched. Thought it was clearly an air ball live as that shot from the left wing attempted by Brandt, rebounded again by McKenzie, and
boy,
I thought you traveled.
Yeah, so did I, but the official disagrees, and, you know, Jessica McKenzie has been giving the Dolphins problems all day long. That time she was able to get herself inside, grab the rebound, and lay it up and in. And, you know, like we mentioned, McKenzie has been rebounding the basketball very efficiently and hitting her free throws as well, although she misses that one. She's now 5 of 7 from the free throw line.
Yeah, I thought she certainly shuffled the feet before going up with that shot. Not called. It's a 3-point game. And Bessie floats it up off glass and in.
And Nicole taking matters into her own hands on that one, driving the ball to the basket and laying it up and in. And it's going to be CSI now taking the timeout, Joe.
So it is a full timeout for CSI, but I think we have a replay queued up, so let's take a look at that very quickly. As we'll get another look at that score by Nicole and Bessie. Had some space to shoot it there, but traded a good shot for a great shot inside as Brandt perhaps took a step too aggressively toward the arc behind the free throw line, and that allowed Bessie to get by and score. As we see the officials discussing that tipped three-pointer, but Dolphins trailing by 1 here in the third quarter. It's been a back-and-forth third quarter after the Dolphins controlled quarter number 1. The Cyclones controlled quarter number 2. What have you seen in this third quarter?
Yeah, you know, the Dolphins came out quick, Joe. They got the first couple of points, but as they have really all afternoon long, the Dolphins are struggling to score. They only have 11 points here, Joe, in this third quarter. And you got to give Centenary a lot of credit. They're rebounding the basketball very well. They're starting to shoot the ball a little bit better. They clearly have confidence that they can play with this team here this afternoon. And they're getting very good play from Jessica McKenzie and very good play from Carly Tanowski. So although their leading scorer, Katie Alvarez, really hasn't been a factor all afternoon long, these other players have really stepped up and done a good job and, you know, giving the Dolphins all they wanted here this afternoon.
And I think that makes this Cyclones effort all the more impressive, doing it without Katie Alvarez contributing any points so far. She's been in foul trouble. As they look to Alvarez here on the inside, and her shot off glass no good. Grabs her own rebound, puts it back up and in, and Alvarez is up on the scoreboard.
Yeah, that time Alvarez outbattled 2 Dolphins for the rebound and laid it up and in.
Those 2 shots, her first 2 attempts from the field as well. Cyclones lead back up to 3. McEwen over to Bessie. And that's not a smart pass there. Schmitter surrounded.
Another nice job by Alvarez, though, on the defensive end that time, denying Schmitter the ball. The Dolphins will maintain possession with 10 to shoot.
Looking at the numbers in this third quarter, the Cyclones outscoring the Dolphins 12-11, but really down the line, the Dolphins have advantages in several categories, including shooting from the field. Dolphins 56-42. Turnovers, the Dolphins have turned the Cyclones over 5 times, only turning it over twice themselves, but from the free throw line in this quarter, the Dolphins are only 1 of 4, and from the three-point line, really perhaps most importantly, Cyclones have knocked down 2 of their 4 three-pointers. The Dolphins have not hit a shot from beyond the arc on 2 attempts in this third quarter.
Yeah, Dolphins also being outscored at second chance points, Joe, 14-3.
Ball with Schmitter. Dribbles toward the free throw line and kicks out to McEwen, who drives. Finds Callie, wide open right wing 3. And that rolls off the rim, no good. And we have a foul call on the rebound attempt, and I think the foul was called against Schmitter.
Yeah, it's going to be a loose ball foul on the Dolphins.
Rybisky.
And it's going to be on Rybisky as she's going to pick up a third, and that's going to lead to free throws here for the Cyclones as Rybisky gets called for the loose ball foul.
The Dolphins certainly can't afford to see Rybisky get in foul trouble. She now has 3.
McKenzie, who's 5 of 7 from the line, will shoot 2. She's now 6 of 8.
Here's another look at that foul call. Didn't even see Rybisky involved in that play until we got a look here on the replay, and she looked like she went straight up.
Another ridiculous call, Joe, but the Dolphins will have to battle and really play better.
Well, I'm sure you echo the sentiment of many Dolphins fans watching, but if you're a fan of the Cyclones, you have to love what you've seen from your team on the glass, and I think the rebounding prowess of the Cyclones has earned them some of those calls as ball's turned over there by Centenary. Dolphins head back the other way, trailing by 4, and there's another bad turnover. And though the Dolphins are winning the turnover battle, they've had some very sloppy turnovers in this game.
Yeah, you know, Joe, you look at the scoring for the Dolphins here, 16 points in that first quarter. Only 7 points in the second as you see the turnover battle at 20-12 and 11 points here in the third. And Dolphins just not being able to operate efficiently offensively, and you got to give the Cyclones a lot of credit.
And I said it in the first half. If you saw the two teams even in the turnover department, you would think the Dolphins had the advantage in this game overall. Now the Dolphins are +8 in turnovers, yet they trail by 4 as we approach 1 minute remaining in the third. Jump shot attempt by Brandt, no good. It's Camerlengo there to grab the rebound. Camerlengo dribbles toward the middle of the floor, finds Megan McEwen open on the right wing. Her three-pointer in and out. 1 minute to go in the third as McKenzie looks for someone to give the ball to. Bossert comes and takes it, dribbles toward the middle of the floor and kicks it to the corner. Gets it right back, thought about the 3, and she'll pull it back out. That's Tarnowski, this is Brandt. Back up to Tarnowski, inside to McKenzie. Wide open in the corner is Bossert for 3. Short, no good. Rebound again by Jessica McKenzie, who puts it back up and in. She has been a beast on the offensive glass.
Yeah, McKenzie is killing the Dolphins on the inside as she grabs the rebound and lays it up and in.
Three-pointer by Rybisky, no good. And flying in, trying to grab that rebound was McEwen. She goes down, and ball travels out of bounds. Over the baseline, it is Cyclones ball, and I believe 6 is their biggest lead of the game.
Yeah, it is, Joe. And, you know, McKenzie now with 10 rebounds on the game, 3 of 5 from the field, and 5 of 7 from the line. She's really hurt the Dolphins all afternoon.
Well, it's been a tough third quarter for the Dolphins, much like the second. Schmitter is called for the foul. That's Jacobs, who's been quiet on offense since the first quarter. I don't believe she's hit a shot since the first. May have hit one early in the second. Certainly hasn't scored since the end of the first half, and she'll head to the free throw line for 2.
Yeah, now Schmitter has 4 personal fouls as well for the Dolphins. We're not even in the fourth quarter yet. Centenary an opportunity to build on their 6-point lead. As Jacobs misses the first, she'll have 1 more.
A lot of Dolphins in foul trouble now. Schmitter with 4, Perrone with 4, Rybisky with 3, Tadaro with 3. And I think the Dolphins need Diana back out there on the floor as soon as possible. I'm sure we'll see her come out to start the fourth quarter.
Joe, the rebounding total, it's almost unbelievable. 37-15, Centenary in the lead.
I don't think McEwen got that shot off in time. It doesn't matter. It did not go down. And a rough third quarter for this Dolphins team. Their halftime deficit has grown from 2 to 6. When we come back, the fourth quarter from the tank as the Dolphins look to battle back against the Cyclones in this basketball matchup exclusively on CSI Sportsnet.
You make me wear my bike helmet. Taught me never to run with scissors.
You tell me to stay away from drugs.
To always buckle my seatbelt. And to follow the swimming rules.
You're always looking out for me and trying to keep me safe.
So why do you keep a loaded gun in your drawer? Here in the garage.
Closet. Shoebox. Under the bed.
Where anyone can get to it. How safe is that?
How safe is that?
How safe is that?
You asked them to follow some safety rules. Now they're asking you. In fact, they're counting on you. Never let your gun get into the wrong hands. If you own a firearm and are not using it, please be responsible and be sure that it's stored in a safe place. Remember, always lock it up. For more information on firearm storage safety, visit ncpc.org.
And we're back from the tank. Fourth quarter about to get underway. And, Mike, I think I speak for both of us and a lot of Dolphins fans when we say we have a surprising score after 3. Dolphins trailing against the 1-6 Cyclones by 6 points entering the fourth.
Yeah, you know, Joe, you looked out at the statistics, and when you're getting out-rebounded 37-16, including 12-3 on the offensive end, it's really no surprise. And in a lot of ways, the Dolphins are very fortunate to be down only 6 heading into the fourth quarter.
Well, the 5 Dolphins out there to start the fourth: McEwen, Rubisky, Camerlingo, Mbesi, and Tadaro, as the first shot of the fourth quarter is no good. Dolphins grab an offensive rebound. They'll need more of that as Camerlengo drives into heavy traffic and throws up another wild shot. How many times have we said that today?
Yeah, Mackenzie with her first block of the afternoon, continuing to build on a fabulous afternoon. She's only a freshman too, Joe.
She's looked excellent in this game and will look to help her team close this one out. Dolphins will have something else to say about that as they will try and erase a 6-point deficit in the final 10 minutes of this game. Here comes Jacobs on the drive. Floats one up, no good. Rebounded by Tarnowski. But that shot did not hit the rim, so the Dolphins will possess it regardless of who touched it last. That's a shot clock violation.
Yeah, it's another offensive rebound, though, for the Cyclones. Dolphins, with the basketball now, need to find a way to get on track offensively.
Mbesi with the deep 2-point jump shot, and that's good. Dolphins need some more quick baskets, much like that one. Still plenty of time. But in most cases, the Cyclones have used a lot of shot clock as McKenzie saves it. And a foul will be called, I believe, against Kayla Rowan.
And that was a nice play by the Dolphins to come out in the trap off the made basket, force the Centenary turnover. That's one thing they've done all afternoon well, Joe, is force turnovers. Let's see if they can take advantage.
And this is one of the rare cases where that has not been enough, as McKenzie was ahead of the field there, but the pass a bit too long. She was forced to save it and did so to the Dolphins before Rowan picked up the foul. That's the first Cyclones team foul of the fourth quarter as Mbesi looks to drive once again. There's another travel.
Yeah, Dolphins called for the turnover there as Mbesi gets called for another traveling violation.
It has to be at least the fourth time Mbesi's been called for traveling in this game. It's certainly been an issue in this one as the Dolphins continue to exert full court pressure. Brandt slaps the ball into the corner for Tarnowski as she went down onto the floor. Tarnowski looking for somewhere to go with it. Gives it up to Brandt, 15 on the shot clock. Back up top with Bossert, over to Brandt again. McKenzie getting position on Brianna Rubisky. Faces a double team And that's good defense from Megan McEwen, who I believe was called for a foul. It was either McEwen or Rubisky.
You know, she traveled before there was even a foul called on the play, and then to call a foul on that, boy, oh boy, to me that's either a travel or a jump ball, but instead, Dolphins pick up the personals. We have an opportunity to see the replay. Let's see what the replay tells us.
Well, the foul was on McEwen. I could not believe she was called for a foul.
The replay tells us she traveled before the...
I don't know how that's a foul, Mike.
Tough call.
Both players went down with 2 hands on the ball, but
Dave Pizzuto giving us the action again right away, and
Cyclones turn it over. Camerlengo with the spin move, but she was out of control there and is easily blocked by Carly Tarnowski.
Yeah, Tarnowski. Sorry, Joe.
Head of the field is McKenzie with the easy layup.
Tarnowski has played another fabulous game here this afternoon.
Dolphins deficit is 6. Rubisky goes up in the double team and draws the foul. This will be free throw attempts 4 and 5 for Rubisky, who has 7 points in the game. 2 of 3 shooting from the field. She's knocked down her first 3 from the line.
Yeah, she's been the only efficient Dolphin from the free throw line.
That one perfect. Dolphins back within 5. As for Centenary, Dana Witch and Katie Alvarez check back in, replacing Carly Tarnowski and Jessica McKenzie. So the 2 big rebounders for the Cyclones coming off the floor. We'll see if the Dolphins can capitalize.
Rubinski 4 of 4 from the line. The rest of the team, 1 of 10.
Make it 4 of 5. Dolphins still trailing by 5 as we approach 7 minutes to go in the game. And McEwen strips Bossert, and the foul will be called on Bossert. Good defense by McEwen. That's been a big part of her game all season long. Aggressive hounding defense. Took the ball away there.
Good play by Bossert, another freshman player for this Cyclone team, to deny McEwen the easy path to the basket. Let's see what the Dolphins could do.
Dolphins throw another entry pass into a double team, but Tadaro, after initially getting blocked on her first attempt, goes right back up with a second attempt and scores. As Bossert is trapped, and Tadaro is clearly fouled there. Yeah, that's a good call.
That'll be a foul on Victoria Jacobs. And, you know, one thing we haven't mentioned yet today, Joe, is how young this Cyclone team is. They played very well, but that was a good hounding defensive play by Tadaro that forces the turnover, and now it'll be Dolphin basketball down by just 3.
And it looks like the sense of urgency for the Dolphins is there right now. Their defensive intensity increased with those last 2 Cyclones possessions. And Jacobs was debating that last call with the official. I'm not sure why. As we get a look at the turnover battle once again. And not often a team leads in the 4th quarter with 24 turnovers, but that's the case right now for Centenary, as Tadaro knew that shot was short as soon as it left her hand. And rebound goes to the Cyclones as Megan McEwen with another good defensive play to get a hand on it. Deflects it out of bounds, but more good hustle for Megan McEwen.
Yeah, you know, Dolphins trying to turn up the defensive pressure a little bit, starting to trap in the backcourt as they find themselves still down by 3 points here with 6:44 remaining.
Dolphins in their full court press. 4 Dolphins beyond the half-court line. Should also mention the Cyclones have 4 early team fouls with 6:40 to play in this final quarter. Here comes Alvarez. And a wild pass intended for Witch. And I think Alvarez expected Witch to stand baseline and not cut. Pass traveled into the Cyclones bench, and that's turnover number 25.
Yeah, it's going to be, I was going to say it would be interesting to see how long McKenzie would stay off the floor. She's already back, and that's a good move. She's been the best player on the floor, and if she hasn't been, Carly Tarnowski has been, and they're both back on the floor for the Cyclones.
And I like that substitution by Rose Haller. Saw the game was turning in favor of the Dolphins, immediately got her 2 biggest rebounders and really biggest offensive threats in this game off of the bench and into the game. Those being Tarnowski and McKenzie, as Camerlengo attempts the mid-range jump shot. That's short. Her struggles shooting continue. Megan McEwen has shot the ball fairly well, but she'll drop to 3 of 8 with that latest miss.
And she follows it up by committing the loose ball foul. So Megan will pick up her second foul. That's the team's second foul. So the Cyclones will inbound from the near sideline.
Camerlingo now 0 of 5 in 15 minutes. Hasn't scored as the Dolphins are on the verge of forcing another turnover, and jump ball is the call.
Yeah, it'll remain Centenary basketball, but you have to like the way the Dolphins have come out, Joe, and played a little bit better defensively here as you see the three-point shooting on your screen. 3 of 13 for the Cyclones, 2 of 12 for the Dolphins. You'll remember both of those threes were by McEwen very early in this game, Joe.
We saw some great three-point shooting in our final day of the Tournament of Heroes yesterday. Not so in this game, as that's number 26, Mike.
Yeah, it's a lot of turnovers for Centenary, and they've turned the ball over a lot here in this fourth quarter. And, you know, Dolphins turning up the defensive pressure caught the Cyclones with just 2 points so far here in the fourth.
Well, that's, I believe, several turnovers consecutively for the Cyclones over the last few possessions. As Tadaro had some space, didn't look to shoot it. Still plenty of time on the shot clock. 15 for the Dolphins to shoot. Camerlingo to Tadaro. And that shot is good. Dolphins back within 1.
Yeah, and Tadaro's been by far the most efficient offensive player for the Dolphins here today.
And there's another turnover stolen by Camerlingo. Her shot is blocked. Possession stays with the Dolphins. But, Mike, the Dolphins have really turned up their defensive intensity in this fourth quarter.
Yeah, you know, even when you struggle offensively, there's no reason that you can't play well defensively. And here in the fourth quarter, the Dolphins have come out with a purpose.
And the Dolphins have looked great so far in this fourth quarter. Didn't get a look. It is a full timeout, but with the action picking up, we'll stay right here and taking a look at the numbers from this fourth quarter. Dolphins outscoring the Cyclones 7-2. You see those turnover numbers, a staggering turnover differential in favor of the Dolphins, yet they still trail.
Yeah, and now Centenary has turned the ball over 7 times, Joe, in the first 4.5 minutes here in this fourth quarter.
It's been a sloppy start to this fourth quarter for Centenary, and that's really highlighted by their total shot attempts. Only 2 field goal attempts in this quarter. You mentioned the 7 turnovers, and the turnovers are the biggest reason why they've only attempted 2 shots from the field. Dolphins not shooting well in this fourth quarter, 3 of 11 from the field, but that's been enough as the Cyclones have gone scoreless in the last 2 minutes plus, and the Dolphins will look to keep it that way as they will possess the ball coming out of this timeout. Again, another steal as the Cyclones attempted to bring the ball up the floor. The Dolphins have been all over the inbounds pass and the first pass following the inbound. Cyclones haven't had an answer for that pressure in this fourth.
Yeah, and the Dolphins in the midst of a mini 5-0 run, Joe, to cut the 6-point deficit down to 1, and they'll have an opportunity now to inbound the basketball as they still look for ways to get themselves on track a little bit more offensively. But, you know, you can't deny they've come out here in the fourth quarter, turned up that defensive intensity, and, you know, looking to get themselves back into the lead here in the fourth quarter.
They will have the opportunity to do just that right here as Tadaro has it back to the basket, picks up her dribble, gives it up to Rubisky in the corner. 20 on the shot clock, ball back with Megan McEwen. Looks like she's calling for a screen or setting up a play. It's Mbesi with it now. Tadaro, 10 on the shot clock, back out to McEwen, and that's a couple of steps beyond the arc. McEwen's 3 no good. Rebounded by Tarnowski.
Yeah, Tarnowski continuing her strong play here this afternoon.
Final 5 minutes from the tank. Dolphins trailing by 1. Cyclones with possession. McKenzie faces a double team. Picks up her dribble out to Tarnowski. Tarnowski surveys, can still put it on the floor. She finally does before handing off to Bossert. 6 on the shot clock, and Camerlingo nearly came away with another steal, but jump ball is the call, and the Dolphins will win possession back.
Yeah, this time the Dolphins win the possession arrow, and it'll be Dolphins basketball. Another opportunity for them to take the lead down 1, 4:44 remaining here in the fourth.
Dolphins have a second shot at taking the lead in as many possessions. Megan McEwen, as is the norm, brings it across center for CSI. Camerlingo with some space, the top of the arc, fakes and passes off to Mbesi. Inside to Tadaro, back out to Mbesi. And I think a 3-second violation was the call on Tadaro. It was. She was camped in the lane for too long.
Yeah, so the Dolphins not able to get the ball up to the rim with an opportunity to take the lead. It'll now be Centenary's turn with the basketball.
And Katie Alvarez will check back in. Who's coming out? Some confusion here. And they're trying to call Kayla Rowan over to the bench, and it took quite a bit of was calling out from that Cyclones bench. I don't think she wanted to come out of the game.
She didn't want to come out, Joe.
Trapped is Tarnowski, and that one, read by Camerlengo, wisely waits back and doesn't commit the foul. She thought about jumping that last pass. Cyclones barely make it across center court and get into their half-court set. Only 13 remaining on the shot clock. Ball with McKenzie in the corner. Alvarez fighting for position inside. Camerlengo goes down. McKenzie drives, finds Tarnowski, and she gets a very favorable roll. It's in off glass.
Yeah, she continues to play well, Joe, from the field. She also has 8 rebounds here today.
As Tadaro throws one up toward the rim, it's no good. And if that foul is on Tadaro, that's number 4.
Yeah, that foul will be on Tadaro, so that will be her 4th personal. So the Dolphins were able to creep to within 1 and had possession of the basketball a couple of times, Joe. Weren't able to nose their way out in front. Now Centenary finds themselves up by 3 once again with the basketball.
Here comes Bossert, dribbling dangerously along that sideline in a double team. Gives it up to McKenzie. Camerlengo goes down inside again, fighting for position with Alvarez. 15 on the shot clock. Ball with McKenzie beyond the arc. She thought about the 3. Instead gives it up to Tarnowski. 10 remaining on the shot clock. Cyclones not really going anywhere, swinging it around the perimeter. That's McKenzie from the corner. No good, rebounded by Mbesi. Mbesi up to Tadaro, and she was moving forward with too much momentum underneath the basket as Megan McEwen will commit the 4th Dolphins team foul. No more to give for CSI.
Yeah, once again, Joe, the Dolphins find themselves rushing. As you see, they had just 1 of their last 8 shot attempts. And, we mentioned they had the basketball with a couple of opportunities to take the lead. Were never able to do so, and Centenary finds themselves with the ball once again.
And that was kicked by Camerlengo with 21 remaining on the shot clock. 3:06 to go in this 4th quarter. Dolphins still have been unable to erase that halftime deficit. They trailed by 2 at the half, trail by 3 here with just over 3 minutes to go. Ball up top with Brandt, who just checked in, replacing Carly Tarnowski. Shot clock down to 10. Good pass inside to Alvarez, and she is fouled.
Yeah, so another foul on the Dolphins will lead to free throws here for the Cyclones, as Cyclones do a nice job working the ball inside and getting a good look at the basket. And now Alvarez will go to the free throw line to shoot 2.
Perhaps lost in that for a moment is that's Megan McEwen's 4th foul. The Dolphins simply can't afford to lose her late in this game. Now trailing by 4. We're getting to that point where they may need some 3-pointers down the stretch, and McEwen easily their best source of offense from long range. The deficit is 5. Still plenty of time for the Dolphins, but they need a basket here, and they need it badly. Saw on your screen, Dolphins 1 for their last 8. Look to break that cold spell. It's Camerlengo inside to Tadaro and Mbesi from the corner, and that's a huge shot by Nicole Mbesi, cutting the deficit back down to 3, and a timeout is called by the Dolphins bench. It is a 30-second timeout, so we'll stay right here. Huge shot there by Nicole Mbesi. That only her, I believe, 3rd made basket of the game. She has 6 points for the Dolphins in this one, and 2 of those 3 makes have come from mid-range.
Yeah, and the Dolphins needed that badly, Joe, as they had been outscored 4-0 since getting to within a single point in the game. But, it's been a struggle for the Dolphins offensively all game long. They've never really seemed to be able to get on track. The only player shooting over 50% for the Dolphins right now is Diana Tadaro, and actually Rubinski as well. But, a lot of players struggling from the field, and, they're struggling rebounding the basketball, and they're doing a great job turning the ball over. But you look at those 2 of 13 from the 3-point line for the Dolphins, and, we mentioned before, McEwen has those 2 3-pointers. Both of them were very early in that first quarter. They haven't hit on a 3-pointer since then, and, every time that Centenary has needed a big stop or a big basket, they've been the team that's been able to get it.
We'll see if that holds true here as the Dolphins once again trapping, and traveling is the call. The Dolphins full court pressure paying dividends once again as they win possession right back without much time coming off the clock, and looks like that will prompt Another substitution for the Cyclones. Carly Tarnowski did not spend much time on the bench. She got a short breather, will head right back in, but the Dolphins looking to erase this deficit with a lineup out on the floor that does not include either Kayla Schmitter or Rosa Perrone. Their two biggest regular rotation players, both listed at 6 feet in a game where they've struggled on the boards. Foul trouble has relegated those two players to the bench. Each of them has 4. And Bessie to Camerlengo in the corner. She drives to her right, picks up her dribble. Ball outside with McEwen. 12 on the shot clock. McEwen uses the Todaro screen. Rubisky driving in from the corner. Back out to McEwen. Corner 3 from McEwen for the tie is no good. Rebounded by McKenzie as we have 2 minutes to go.
Terrible offensive set that time, Joe, by the Dolphins, wasting 25 seconds to take a tough 3-point shot.
This building's getting a little quiet. Fans becoming increasingly concerned with this late deficit as Katie Alvarez finishes inside. Dolphins now trail by 2 possessions with under 2 minutes to play. And Bessie has it. Back to McEwen. Dolphins still have time to run their half-court offense, but if they fail to score here, they may need to get into hurry-up mode. Kayla Schmitter gets up off the bench. She will check in at the next opportunity. And Bessie throws one up off glass and in. Nicole and Bessie with a nice move and a much-needed Dolphins basket. Dolphins full court pressure once again. This time it's Tarnowski trying to navigate that double team. Back to Bossert. That ball gets by Jacobs, and Todaro comes away with it, stays in bounds, but throws it away. She had 2 teammates in the area, but had to avoid going out of bounds and allowing the jump ball. That wild pass puts 30 seconds back on the shot clock with 1:08 remaining.
Yeah, you know, Dolphins came close on that one to force it to turnover, but it'll remain Cyclone basketball.
That turnover would have granted the Dolphins a 2-for-1 opportunity. That won't be the case here unless they score very quickly. Bossert over to McKenzie. Dolphins need a stop. Final minute of the game. 15 on the shot clock. This is Jacobs working against Rubisky. Dolphins have no fouls to give. 10 on the shot clock. Cyclones still moving it around the perimeter. Haven't gone anywhere yet. Taking time off the game clock. That's Bossert. 3 from 2 steps behind the line. Big rebound by Schmitter. Under 40 seconds to go. Here come the Dolphins. Still a 1-possession game, but the Dolphins trail by 3. It's Rubisky with the ball at the top of the arc. Gives it up to Mbesi. Short pass over to McEwen. And I think we may have had a defensive 3 seconds called, if not a foul.
Terrible job that time by the Cyclones to commit a foul and allow McEwen to go to the free throw line. The Dolphins' offense really wasn't looking like it was going anywhere, and now an opportunity for the Dolphins to get closer with the clock not running.
These are 2 huge free throws for the Dolphins, as they will certainly need to foul inside of 30 seconds remaining, but they can make things much easier on themselves, trailing by only 1 instead of 2, and McEwen makes sure that's the case as she knocks down both free throws, and timeout is called by the Cyclones. It is a full timeout for the Cyclones, their final timeout. But with the game winding down, we will stay right here, Mike. The Dolphins' deficit is 1, and this game very well could be decided at the free throw line at this point. What have you seen from these 2 teams down the stretch in this game?
Well, you know, Joe, there's 27 seconds remaining in the game, so the shot clock will be off. And, you know, the Dolphins will look to continue to put pressure on the basketball. Obviously, they're not going to be able to let Centenary set into their offense like they were able to do on their last possession. So if you're the Dolphins here, you want to try to steal the inbounds or maybe that first pass. But anytime after that, you got to commit the foul and leave as much of the 26 seconds on the clock because you've been struggling offensively as well.
And that's a great point, Mike. The Dolphins certainly can allow the ball to cross center court, but certainly can't allow any more time to elapse than that. The Dolphins have done a great job forcing some errant passes by the Cyclones in this 4th quarter. They've turned them over several times in this quarter. I'll get that tally right now as the Dolphins have forced 9 turnovers in this 4th quarter. But as I said, heading into the break, this game could be decided at the free throw line.
And remember, Joe, in women's college basketball, they do advance the basketball, so Centenary will not be forced to inbound deep in their backcourt.
Hence my confusion yesterday, as the Cyclones will inbound. 27 seconds to go, so.
Boy, sorry, Joe, easily able to get in the inbounds.
The Cyclones didn't have to advance it there, and I'm not sure what the Dolphins are doing here, trailing by 1. And they finally commit the foul. But, Mike, what were they doing allowing 10 seconds to elapse off the clock?
Yeah, they wasted a lot of time, put no pressure on the inbounds pass at all, as Centenary was easily able to get it into Taylor Bossard, which is what they wanted to do in the first place. And now they're going to allow Tarnowski to go to the free throw line. She misses the first.
That's short. That was way short, that shot. But if the Dolphins had fouled immediately and then connected on their second free throw attempt, or connected on a basket, I should say, they would have forced the Cyclones to inbound it at least one more time. But the Centenary lead is now 2 as Tarnowski goes 1 of 2 from the line. The Dolphins call their final timeout. It will be a 30-second timeout. What are your expectations for this last possession?
Well, Joe, the first thing is the Dolphins are very fortunate that Centenary is just 12 of 21 from the free throw line, because that's helped keep them in the game. But, you know, with all that's gone on, Joe, and the struggles the Dolphins had all afternoon, they have just under 15 seconds with an opportunity to tie or win the game. And, you know, the way the Dolphins have played and how well Centenary has played, the Dolphins are very fortunate to find themselves with that opportunity.
And the Cyclones have shot over 40% overall in this game, far above their season's average, about 5% above their season's mark. The Dolphins shooting only 35% in this game. And you mentioned the Cyclones 12 of 21 from the free throw line. The Dolphins only 7 of 17. It hasn't been much better. They need a basket here, trailing by 2. 13 seconds to go in the game. This is Mbesi. And Bessie dribbles to her left, picks up her dribble, gives it up to McEwen. 6 on the game clock, and McEwen floats it up and in traffic. Huge shot by Megan McEwen to tie the game at 49. No timeouts left for the Cyclones. 3 seconds left. Jacobs up to Alvarez, and she doesn't get the shot off. That basket will not count, and we are headed to overtime.
Boy, what a basket that time by Megan McEwen. She was completely off balance and able to lay it up and in. And, you know, Joe, sometimes you have to be fortunate, and the Dolphins were fortunate to get that great shot by McEwen at the end of the game. Is you have an opportunity to see the replay, and you'll be able to see the light clearly go on before the shot went off. So Alvarez was close, but not close enough. The Dolphins able to come all the way back late in the game, finding themselves down. They stuck with it. They were able to force enough turnovers, take advantage of that missed free throws at the end of the game by the Cyclones, as you saw Mbesi nearly travel, and then you see that great shot over a couple of outstretched Cyclone arms, Joe.
Well, Megan McEwen certainly not shy about driving into contact. We've said that about her all year. Really a complete player at the offensive end, running the show for the Dolphins as the point guard. More than willing to attack the basket, and of course her prowess from outside has been well documented all season long. And McEwen with another strong effort for the Dolphins in this game, shooting 4 of 11 overall, 2 of 6 from beyond the arc. She's tied for the team lead in scoring with 12 points. Both she and Diana Tadaro with 12 in the game, but McEwen has played all 40 minutes in this game thus far, and they'll look to her for 5 more in overtime.
Yeah, you know, really a great job by the Dolphins. You know, it's been a struggle all day long, and, you know, they've struggled offensively, just 20 of 56 from the field and just 2 of 14 from the three-point line, but they kept fighting and fighting and fighting, and, you know, you got to play the full 40 minutes, and they were down with 15 seconds remaining, but able to get a big basket at the end to force overtime.
Well, that missed free throw by Carly Tarnowski proves huge as she went 1 of 2 from the line, allowing the Dolphins to tie it on that McEwen floater in the lane. And we will now play a 5-minute overtime. Score tied at 49, entering the extra frame. Tadaro, right baseline, steps back, picks up her dribble. Up top to McEwen on the left wing. It's now McEwen using the Schmitter screen. McEwen drives to the right side of the lane and finishes the scoop layup.
McEwen with the last 4 points to the Dolphins. First tie the game, now she gives the Dolphins the lead.
McEwen has led the way offensively for the Dolphins this year. That has been the case in this game as well. She really showed up down the stretch when her team needed scoring, but Katie Alvarez answers right back with a nice up and under move.
Yeah, beautiful move by Alvarez. She's been quiet. She just has 8, but a big basket there.
Alvarez, McEwen, Schmitter, and Rubisky all playing with 4 fouls, so that's something to keep in mind for both sides. As the score is tied at 51 inside of 4 minutes to play in overtime. McEwen uses the Todaro screen. Crossover to her left, and a great move there by Megan McEwen, looking off the defense and finishing with the left hand.
6 points in a row for McEwen. Dolphins lead by 2.
Well, McEwen has stepped up her game over the last couple of minutes, the end of regulation and now in overtime. She has been huge for the Dolphins in this game. That has been the norm this season for Megan. As Mackenzie drives to her left, and she finishes off glass. Good move there by Jessica McKenzie, taking it all the way from the corner down inside and finishing around a pair of Dolphins.
Every player on the Dolphins on the floor with 4 personals except Nicole and Bessie.
That pass inside to Kayla Schmitter goes up in the double team. Rubisky able to tiptoe along the baseline and secure the rebound. That shot did not hit the rim. 10 seconds on the shot clock. McEwen thought about the 3. Back to the basket. Floats one up, nearly put that one in. As Schmitter grabs the offensive board but throws it away into the Dolphins bench.
Yeah, nice offensive rebound by Schmitter. That's her second offensive rebound of the game, but then throws the ball away.
Well, that's good vision by Schmitter to spot the open player over there on the right side of the floor. It was Rubisky as you got another look at that Megan McEwen crossover, look off, and left-handed layup. A great move by Megan on that finish, followed up by another nice move from Jessica McKenzie. Under 2:40 to go in overtime. We're tied at 53. Bossert uses the screen from Alvarez and knocks down the pull-up jump shot.
Yeah, that was a beautiful move that time by Bossert to give the Cyclones the lead.
Cyclones a perfect 3 for 3 from the field in this overtime. Dolphins have hit 2 of their first 4. And that's clearly a set play there for Todaro, but the Cyclones may have seen it one too many times.
2 turnovers in a row now for the Dolphins.
Big possession here as Tarnowski is left wide open. Her shot short. Dolphins have numbers. McEwen and Rubisky 2-on-1. McEwen over the head of Bossert into the hands of Brianna Rubisky, who finishes the layup on the break.
Beautiful play that time by McEwen as she picks up her 5th assist of the game to tie up the game.
McEwen's done it all in this one for the Dolphins, continues her stellar play in overtime. Rubisky also has had herself a good game, scoring points 9 and 10 on that layup. And the foul is committed by Todaro.
And that's going to foul her out of the game, Joe. Tough call on Todaro.
Here's a look at that last Dolphins fast break. Bossert knew that McEwen had a trailing player with her, but simply couldn't allow McEwen to lay it in uncontested and didn't have enough height to get hands on that ball. As now another Dolphin with 4 fouls checks into the game for Diana Todaro. It's Rosa Perrone entering. And Jessica McKenzie back on the free throw line for attempts number 8 and 9, shooting 2, and knocks down the first.
They had a lot of contact here in this overtime, but Todaro gets called for the personal.
That second free throw off, and Tarnowski nearly came away with the rebound. Nice job there by Perrone to track it down. Dolphins trail by 1 inside of a minute and a half to play. And Bessie has it right wing, uses the Perrone screen, looking for somewhere to go with it. Now it's Rubisky. Rubisky out to Schmitter. Back up top to McEwen, 10 on the shot clock. McEwen driving once again and throws one up at the rim through the contact, and Megan will head back to the free throw line.
So McEwen now will go to the free throw line with an opportunity to tie or give the Dolphins the lead. She's 2 of 2 from the line here this afternoon.
And those 2 free throws were big ones down the stretch. It cut the Cyclones' lead to 1 at the time, and right here she will tie the game at 56 in overtime with a chance to put the Dolphins back in front by a point. 1:15 to go. Second free throw is no good. Rosa Perrone gives chase and falls on top of it, but a foul is called. Good hustle play by Rosa Perrone, and she lost her footing and really didn't have a chance to keep that in play, but they say she was pushed. That's Mackenzie's second.
There's you hear the reaction from the fans behind us. Rosa going to the free throw line. She's 11 of 23 from the line. That's 48% from the free throw line for Perrone.
She missed a pair from the line earlier in this game. Makes the first one here.
Gives the Dolphins a 1-point lead.
That was Perrone's first free throw attempt since that pair of misses earlier, and she will knock down 2 big ones right here, extending, or I should say giving the Dolphins a 2-point lead. We approach 1 minute remaining in overtime. Dolphins lead by 2. Entry pass for Alvarez, too long. And that's out of bounds. Dolphins ball. Huge possession upcoming for CSI with a chance to go up 2 possessions.
Yeah, you know, Joe, Centenary's been turning the ball over all day long and getting away with it. That could be the turnover that really hurts them if the Dolphins can convert on the offensive end.
Final minute of overtime.
Turnover number 30, as you see on your screen for Centenary.
You said it, Mike. They've escaped their turnover issues all game long, but it looks like that has finally changed here in overtime. 10 on the shot clock. McEwen dribbles around the perimeter. Finds Robisky in the corner. Pass inside to Schmitter, working against the double team. Able to find Perrone through the double. That shot is short. Robisky, offensive rebound. She puts it back in, and the Dolphins' lead is 4.
You know, Joe, the Dolphins have been getting killed on the offensive glass, but may have gotten the biggest offensive rebound of the game.
That's absolutely right, Mike. A huge offensive board by Robisky, who went right back up with it and put it in. Bossert, corner 3, air ball. Rebound, Brianna Robisky. 15 seconds remaining in the game, and Megan McEwen will be fouled as the Dolphins appear poised to escape this one with a victory.
Yeah, the Dolphins able to take advantage of a huge offensive rebound by Brianna Robisky, who goes in and lays it up and in. So when the Dolphins needed offense most here in this overtime period, they've been able to get points.
And a big free throw there from McEwen extends the lead to 5. And on that replay, Mike, I couldn't help but notice, I don't know if you caught it, Diana Tadaro sprinted onto the court, ran a lap around the official into the corner and back onto the bench. They had a good laugh about that just a few moments ago, but that second free throw makes it a 6-point Dolphins lead. Time running out on the Cyclones as they will call a timeout. And the Dolphins, leading by 6, Mike, are in good position to close this one out.
Yeah, you know, the Dolphins now find themselves in great position for the victory. And, you know, you got to go back to with just under 15 seconds remaining, and Megan McEwen took the ball to the basket extremely aggressively and was able to hit an off-balance shot to force this game into overtime. And, you know, even in the overtime period, you got to give Centenary a lot of credit. They fell behind. The Dolphins scored first. Centenary came back. The Dolphins scored second. Centenary came back and then scored the next basket to take the lead. It's been that kind of game all day long, but the Dolphins able to score down the stretch.
That basket you just saw by McEwen, why we find ourselves in overtime as a foul is called after the offensive rebound. Alvarez rebounded that air ball and put it back up. Actually may have hit the base of the backboard on that rubber frame, but either way, it's an offensive rebound for Alvarez, and with that 5th foul, Rosa Perrone will take a seat, and Jackie Callie enters the game for the first time in quite a while.
So Perrone will join Tadaro on the bench with 5 personal fouls. Schmitter is on the floor with 4 personal fouls for the CSI Dolphins, as is Robisky and McEwen.
Dolphins lead cut to 5 with that first free throw. Was curious to see if the Cyclones might miss that on purpose and try and get 2 or 3 points out of another possession with 9 seconds left, but they'll take the second free throw and knock it down. So a timeout will be called, but 9.1 to go. And Mike, this game really shifted late in the 4th quarter. What did you see that changed and ultimately resulted in what appears as if it's going to be a Dolphins overtime victory?
Well, you know, when you go back and you look at things in hindsight, Joe, in this game, you know, Centenary with their 30 turnovers, that's a lot of turnovers as you have an opportunity to see that beautiful basket by Megan McEwen. And that really was the difference, Joe, because Centenary played really good defense on that play. They forced McEwen to take a pretty low percentage shot on the play, and the Dolphins were fortunate that she was able to hit that tough shot. And then in the overtime period, after going back and forth over the first couple of minutes, Dolphins able to take advantage of a couple of big misses and turnovers by the Cyclones as they're going to run down the clock right here, Joe.
Well, the Cyclones took their good time fouling instead of initially fouling the player who caught the ball first, but won't be enough time left for them with no timeouts. Dolphins leading by 2 possessions, and Megan McEwen will get 2 more attempts from the free throw line as I think Victoria Jacobs just fouled out of the game.
Yeah, that's the thing, Joe, is that even before the Dolphins inbounded on that last possession, really not enough time left on the clock for Centenary to be a threat anymore. And, boy, you got to give the Cyclones a lot of credit, Joe. You know, they came in and they were 1-6 on the year and been struggling. And, you know, they gave the Dolphins really all that they could handle here this afternoon. The Dolphins are going to be extremely fortunate to escape here with a win, and they will now have won 6 out of their last 7 as they get ready for conference play.
Well, you took the words right out of my mouth when you said the Cyclones gave the Dolphins all they could handle. It was +8 Dolphins in the first, +10 Cyclones in the second, +4 Cyclones in the third, but the Dolphins made up a 6-point deficit in the fourth, send it to overtime, and win in overtime by 6. Our final score, the Dolphins 64 and the Cyclones 58. I'm sure we'll have a guest shortly, so Mike, of course, you and I will stay right here. You said it already, a huge win for the Dolphins against the team that I think it's fair to say we expected them to beat. Cyclones came in struggling for offense on the season, came in struggling overall at 1-6. Their win coming in their last game, nearly made it 2 in a row here at the Tank today, but the Dolphins, with late-game heroics from Megan McEwen, send the game to overtime and close it out, winning by 6.
Yeah, you know, you look at this Cyclone team, and they have a lot of talented players and a lot of young talented players, so, you know, they'll be a force to reckon with in the future, but for today, the Dolphins able to escape with a win in overtime, and we're going to be joined by the shooting star that sent this game into overtime, Megan McEwen.
All right, Megan, you guys really stepped up your game in the second half, especially the fourth quarter. What was the message from the coaching staff in the locker room?
Well, a lot of times we come out, we don't play our game, and our biggest thing is that if we come out and we play our game, no team is beating us. So a lot of times our coaches just kind of need to bring us back to ground level and realize that we need to play our game in order to win, and that's what we did in the second half, and it worked for us. So.
Last shot of the game, was it a set play to attack the rim or a broken play where you took it upon yourself to take it inside?
It was a broken play, to be honest. For myself, I can't really think about it. I kind of have to see how the game comes in the moment, and it's what happened with our team, and it worked out really well. So.
Megan, the team goes into the new year having won 6 out of their last 7 games, and you're getting ready to get into conference play. What can we look for this team in 2019?
You know, people don't really believe us when we say this, but we've honestly yet to play our full potential. And I really mean that. Like, the talent we have on this team, it's been working for us, but we can go so much higher than our levels. And I think upcoming for our CUNY play, we're really finally going to be able to show that. So.
All right, Megan, thank you for joining us. Congratulations
on
the victory.
You guys.
Big shot down the stretch. Good luck with the conference portion of your schedule
coming
up.
Happy New Year,
Thank
Megan.
you. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. That is Dolphin star point guard Megan McEwen joining us. Her excellent season continues as she hits the shot that sends this game to overtime, once again leads the way in scoring for the Dolphins, and the Dolphins defeat the Cyclones by 6 in overtime. Our next broadcast here on CSI Sportsnet will be a 2019 broadcast. Our first of the new year will be part of a doubleheader against York College. That on Thursday, January 3rd. The women tip off at 5:30 p.m. The men at approximately 7:30 as the Dolphins kick up the conference portion of their schedule. The remaining schedule for the women, all conference matchups. And Mike, before we sign off for 2018, final thoughts.
Yeah, you know, it's been a great weekend here. The final weekend of the new year is the Dolphins win the Tournament of Heroes for the 3rd time, beating a tough team, and then the Dolphins come right back here today playing a young game Centenary team and escape with a victory. So lots of excitement heading into 2019 as both teams look to continue their strong play out on the hardwood.
Well, you said it, Mike. This past weekend, one of the most exciting we've ever covered. We hope 2019 will bring more of the same excitement. And that's all for us here on CSI Sportsnet in 2018. This has been Joe Foreman. From Mike Babuski, our engineer David Pizzuto, on camera Joseph Cusimano, and from all of us here at the College of Staten Island, thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. Our final score today, the Dolphins win 64-58 over the Cyclones of Centenary in overtime. Our next broadcast on January 3rd, a conference doubleheader. The Dolphins take on York. If you can't attend the game, be sure to join us here on CSI Sportsnet at CSIDolphins.com for that broadcast. Enjoy the rest of your 2018 and have a happy new year.